the American Republic stands today as the greatest, most exceptional, and most virtuous nation in the history of the world. That is why we pay tribute to generations of American heroes whose names have etched on our monuments and memorials and in the pages of history and in the hearts of a very grateful people. We will never allow an angry mob to tear down our statues, erase our history, indoctrinate our children, or trample on our freedoms. We will safeguard our values, traditions, customs, and beliefs. We will teach our children to cherish and adore their country so that they can build its future. Together we will fight for the American dream. No matter our race, color, religion, or creed, we are one America, and we put America first.
Hey guys, how you doing? What's up, Jade?
Yeah, the usual for a Friday.
You're in the dark there.
I can turn the light on.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, I'm all washed out then.
All right, I'm just not used to seeing you in the dark. That's all.
Well, let me try this one. Hang on.
Sure. What's up, guys? How was your week?
Okay, how does that look?
Like usual. Good.
Like usual. Okay.
Like usual. You're back to normal. Okay. Very good.
Oh, I'm being called normal? Excellent.
There you go. That's one of your goals, right, for the week?
Yeah, well, there you go.
So you were laying low this week, huh?
Yeah, just kind of staying out of trouble, entering a change of phase of life.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, going to be retiring in November, so that's that.
Yeah, it's good and bad, I guess depending on who you are, too. How was it for you? All right?
Well, I'll find out in November, but
yeah,
since the age of 6, I have never been, other than summer vacations as a kid, I have never been other than a full-time student or gainfully employed.
There you go.
So this is going to be very different for me.
Yeah.
But I've got things that I want and like to do. Hey, Bobbity. So I think I'll be okay.
Good. That's good. Yeah, I don't think I'll ever retire.
Well, I never thought I would either.
Yeah.
If you would ask me, I'd say, no, I'm just going to keep going. But, I did some calculations, got together with the financial guy, and
you can do it. So do it. Yeah.
Here we are.
That's good.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for coming, everybody. Let's wait for a couple more to come in, but I can go over what we're going to talk about. It's a lot of stuff this week.
Yeah, it looks like we got 5.
Yeah. So Harris defends shifting positions in primetime interview. That's a joke. Kamala Harris on CNN. Bidenomics is good work. Democrat AG appears to threaten street artist Sabo after his brilliant artwork blaming Kamala for illegal alien invasion appears on street signs, bus stops in Aurora, Colorado. You know anything about that, Jade?
Gosh, excuse me. Well, Aurora, just in case anybody doesn't know, it's adjacent to Denver, and it's kind of the east of Denver, and we're to the north of Denver. So it's real close. I can't quite throw a stick into Aurora, but it's close. And apparently this building got into some trouble with code and etc. And finally was basically condemned, I think. I think there was a few people still living in it.
Oh, wow.
And now these Venezuelan cartel members have decided to make it their home, and they've come in, and the real problem now, we've got Jared Polis, who I was surprised. I mean, he's a Democrat, but why do I always feel like spitting when I say Democrat? I don't know.
Yeah.
he's a Democrat, but we usually think of him as
Hey, Stenson.
the best of the worst. But he comes out and he says something to the effect of, "Oh yeah, that's not happening. I mean, it's just your imagination." And it's you see film of these guys walking around with full-size semi-automatic rifles, and the problem is they're dug in now.
Yeah.
And you're dealing with people who don't care.
Yeah.
You're dealing with people. A lot of them are probably veterans of the Venezuelan penal system.
Right.
A number of them are veterans of military training. And now that, oh yeah, where did they get their firearms? Of course, illegal immigrants aren't allowed to purchase firearms, of course. So none of them do, of course. Anyway.
Oh, of course not. What's up, Jeremiah?
But now that they've dug in,
yeah, it's a myth, like Antifa.
Yeah,
those armed gangs, they're just a myth, right?
Yeah, it's going to. Well, the question is, how do you get them out of there now? You know, do you send? I know what
military.
We need to do. No, what we need to do is send down a couple of social workers. That's what we need to do.
Yeah, that was their answer, wasn't it, to defunding the police?
But the point
during the nutty St. George Floyd riots.
Yeah, the point being is that these guys are dug in now, and I don't see any way to get them out of there without a full-scale military type.
Well, set the building on fire. They'll get out real fast. Rats always get out before they get burned.
Rats leaving a sinking ship, so to speak.
Yeah.
The city of Aurora, interestingly, has spent millions of dollars purchasing cast-off military equipment. They've got Humvees. They've got, what do you call them? Troop carriers. They've got.
Yep.
I don't think they've got tanks, but we do have the National Guard. And somebody just said it. You're right. They're going to wait till after the elections, because if you try and go in there, it will be a bloodbath.
Yeah.
And not a bloodbath like President Trump was talking about. This would be a real bloodbath. And
right.
Like I say, you got to know that the cartel, they have some real life experience, and they really don't care.
They don't.
A lot of them, and a lot of them have military training, and so it will be interesting, whatever and whenever. But I think you're right. I mean, Polis knows that if he does this before the elections, there's going to be hell to pay.
Well, I saw a video the other day, and this might be where you're talking about, but it was in a building, and it was in the stairwell where they were climbing up the stairwell. And There was about 6 or 7 of them armed. One had a machine gun, the others had pistols, rifles. And it was one guy on a phone.
Yeah, they're
and
carrying
I guess
rifles.
he was. Yeah, he was the coordinator.
I don't know if they're fully automatic, but they were carrying AR and/or AK style rifles.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And it will be very bad when somebody finally makes the decision that they have to go in there. So in the meantime, we have a little community, a safe zone for cartel drug sales now.
Okay, there you go. Do you guys remember? Do you remember in Philadelphia the Move incident? Do you remember that?
The Move?
MOVE. Yeah, it was a group of people that wanted to go back to nature, and the mayor of Philadelphia accidentally set the neighborhood on fire.
Well, no, I don't think I remember that.
Yeah, it was a long time ago, but the Move people, they were predominantly black, but their leader, the guy that created it, was a white guy. And I actually interviewed, when I was in college, I interviewed a couple of them, and they were actually very intelligent, very nice people. And what they were upset about was that the government, hey, what's up, Chill? What's up, Bass? The government they allow certain chemicals, certain amount of chemicals in food and other kinds of products like shampoo, stuff like that. And they were upset because studies said that those types of chemicals, that a lot of them, after taking them for a long time, eating them, ingesting them, using them, whatever, that they dumb your intellectual curiosity down. And they wanted to go, it was they wanted to do like a freedom movement to get rid of all that. The problem is they chose a house to do it in the middle of a neighborhood in Philadelphia. And back to nature meant just that no electricity, nothing like that. And rats galore would be around the house, thousands of them, because of the way they tossed food out and all that.
Well, at least you got a source of food.
Yeah.
You got a source of meat.
There you go. And the house was finally, the cops moved in because what happened was people in the neighborhood complained to the mayor, who was Wilson Good, who was the first black mayor of Philly. And I only mention that because it was a milestone, and he asked the members of the community, because they said, get these people the fuck out of here. Our kids, they get shit thrown at them every day by these people. Just get them out of here. And so he said, can you wait till after the election? Because he was trying to get reelected. Don't complain until after the election. And they were like, okay, whatever. So the election happened. He wins re-election. 6 months later, he still hasn't done anything. So they then go to the press and they start complaining, and it becomes a big spectacle. And so what happened is, what do you call it? So what happened was, in the end, they had a bunker on the roof of their house. And inside that bunker was a shit ton of gasoline, canisters of gasoline. And the reason for that, though, they kept it up there in some asinine. They had to use things down below. They didn't have electricity, so they had to use certain like generators and whatnot. They were trying to go off grid. But why they stored it up there is anybody's guess. And so Wilson Good, who was an ignorant fool, if you ask me, he destroyed their economy in Philly. A lot of things he went wrong under him, and so he wanted to be that Superman that saved the day. So he sent police up onto that roof via helicopter. They dropped the bomb. You dropped the bomb on me. Literally, that was the song that went around. And the roof is on fire. We don't need no water. Let the motherfuckers burn. And so they dropped the bomb on there, and it ignited and set the entire neighborhood on fire.
That's when they found out that there was gasoline up there.
Yes. And so it was the worst disaster. I mean, my parents that year went to Hawaii, and they met other people from around the country in Hawaii and people from other countries. And they're like, oh, you're from Philadelphia. Were you near that move fire? Because you could see it, the flames and the smoke from miles around. And that was really messed up. But somebody mentioned something about fluoride. Yes, Sensum, I did. As a matter of fact, I just saw in one of the studies, it said that fluoride is one of the reasons why people's memories start to go. Because they said that fluoride, now that it's in water, it's in certain foods, it's in your toothpaste, right? It's rat poison, actually, is what fluoride is. But a lot of people don't know that. But what's it called? Now, you might know something about this being a medical doctor, Dr. Jade. They said that there's something in the brain that helps the neuron snap or whatever it is, to get that electrical connection, and that fluoride kills something that's between it. And like you could lose upwards to like 85,000 of these neurons and still be like a functioning person, but you would like have no memory. But they said that most people by the age of 50 have lost 10,000 already if they're on toothpaste, like with fluoride. If they're on fluoride, that it causes that. And they said that if you stop taking fluoride, and there's some other thing, of course, they're going to sell it to you, right? But there's some other like supplement or something that will help get the fluoride out of your body quicker. They say that your memory comes back because those things just restart again. Because whatever the fluoride's forcing in there, and you know, I don't know, the guy that was hi, I'm Dr. So-and-so, you know, he could have been an actor. I don't know, you know, but that's the latest study that they pointed to that said something.
Yeah, if you want to send me a link to that study, I'll have a look at it. I have looked at some of the early studies on fluoride that they tried to find bad things. They really didn't.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, I would have to look. There's a lot of studies that I've looked at that are done very poorly. And you really have to analyze how they did it. So if you want to send me that link, we can talk about it next week.
Yeah, I will.
I haven't seen those latest studies. You know, I was
George
thinking,
fluoride.
I was thinking as we were talking earlier about Aurora, what we need to do is we need to invite the Spetsnaz. I'll tell you why. This is a great story. You may remember years and years ago, I can't remember exactly when the Chechen terrorists took over a theater.
Yeah, I remember that.
There were like 100 people in there.
Children included.
Yeah, children too. And they called out the Russian special forces.
And they killed them all.
Well, no, wait.
Oh, sorry.
Wait.
I'll shut up.
Yeah, shut up, you bigot. So no, they pulled off a total. This is such an example of Russian. It is amazing. They pulled off this brilliant operation. They put sleeping gas into the system. It was going to knock you down, okay? And then just when it was taking the terrorists so they couldn't react, they went in, they took out all the terrorists, they got out every person unharmed, and then they took these people and laid them on their back on the grass. And like a quarter of them died from not being able to breathe for being in the wrong position.
Right.
Isn't that like just amazingly Russian?
Oh, yeah. They basically say to them, we're going to kill your ass and we're going to lay you out so that everybody that thinks they can do this is what's going to happen.
No. I mean the hostages. What happened was they got all the terrorists. They took them down.
Yeah.
But when they got all the hostages out alive and safe, but instead of putting them on their side in the rescue position, they laid them on their back. So they aspirated, they choked, that they couldn't breathe.
Hang on, we got a libtard here. Hi, Ashley Sanders, who I think is our friend Nelson. What if Trump doesn't win in November, how is he supposed to be able to pardon himself and not be held accountable or put on trial for trying to illegally overturn the results of the election? Well, you're going to have to explain to us, Ashley Sanders, how he tried to overturn an election. Go.
Yeah, please let us know.
Yeah, let us know in the comments.
The fact that the president points out...
I'll bring your dumb ass in here, too, if you want to talk.
Love to have you in. The fact that the president, the sitting president, calls the... I guess what was the attorney general at the time?
Yeah.
Calls the attorney general and says, look, we have evidence of so many dead people voting. We have evidence of so many people that weren't in the state voting. Can you find in there, can you find 11,000 votes?
Right.
And that's an official act of a sitting president.
Right.
And he talks to people who are responsible for election security, i.e. his vice president and the Secretary of State, not Attorney General of Georgia.
Brad Raffensperger, you mean in Georgia? The Georgia case.
Yeah. Raffensperger.
See, Ashley, we bring an elections expert on here all the time from Georgia. And you can also go to here'stheevidence.com and just spend 8 days reading all the evidence of the 2020 steal. So don't come in here trying to fucking troll, because I'll boot your ass out faster than you can say proletariat.
Well, whoever this isn't trolling. Notice there's no response.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's just funny. How are they going to pardon themselves?
But yeah, in terms of in terms of asking somebody to verify election results and make sure that there was, make sure that the elections were clean.
The president was actually, like Trump, was actually trying to engage in election integrity.
Yeah.
That's what he was doing. See, let me explain something, Ashley. What happened was there's a guy named Mark Davis, and I could bring him on. I could probably get him to come in. He's an elections expert, according to 5 courts in Georgia. And he's an expert in election law in Georgia and in redistricting. All right. And he was the one that the Trump legal team asked to do an analysis on the voter data, because besides being a Republican consultant who gets Republicans elected, and in Georgia, he also, he knows everybody in politics in Georgia, but he also is the president of Data Productions Incorporated down in Georgia. He's a data guy. Yeah. So they asked him to do an analysis of the voter data of 2020, and he did. Hey, what's up? Jimmy from Philly's in the house. So what happened? So what happened is he did an analysis of the voter data, and he absolutely found fraud. There were probably 4 different scenarios that he could prove, but the easiest one that he could prove was in Georgia. There's a law, just like in most states, and it says that if you move from one county to another in your state, and you don't, and you, Ashley, if you're not going to listen, then I'm just going to boot your ass out. If you don't tell the state,
there's a response from Ashley Sanders.
Yeah, I know. I see it. This is the first time in history where millions of Americans are voting in Canada, not found guilty of felony. Yeah, whatever. So what happened is they oh, are you really? All right, cool, Jim. I'll promote it on my Discord too. So what happened is he found that if people, there were over 33,000 people who moved from one county to another. They told the USPS that they moved, but they never told the state. And within 30 days of the election, and they voted. So those votes could have been thrown out. So what Trump was doing in that infamous phone call was he was reading to Raffensperger and the Secretary of State, and he was saying, he was going down a list of what of the report that my friend Mark gave him, and he said, "Look, you got 300,000 people here who registered through a post office box. They're illegal. They voted. You've got 33,000 people here who moved from one county to another. They voted. You got so many dead people. You got thousands of people that moved out of the state, but they still voted. Out of all that, can't you find me 11,790? That's what he said. But that prick, Brad Raffensperger, that piece of crap, Raffensperger, he edited out all that evidence. What's up, Vance? He edited out all that evidence and just sent to the media because he knew what it would do. It was cover his own ass. So he sent out to the media only the part where it says Trump says, find me 11,790. So as per usual with phone calls with Trump, the assholes that are his enemies, they edited out the actual audio. You too, Vamps. Good to see you. So what's going on is where people like you say that, Trump tried to overturn the election. Bullshit. What Trump tried to do, what every single person who went to the Capitol that day on January 6, 2021, what they wanted was for certain key states to hold off certification until they were able to check the ballots. Because think about this. Brad Raffensperger, as a matter of fact, there's a warrant coming for his arrest soon. But Brad Raffensperger, he entered a consent decree deal with Stacey Abrams, the mouthpiece for the Democrats down in Georgia. And what he did was she was screaming, voter suppression, voter suppression, voter suppression. And it was a lie. It was proven that black people were the largest group that was registering and the largest group that was voting down in Georgia. Okay, so she was full of shit, but that's what she does. She is full of shit. So she and Fair Fight, her group, what they did is they complained and complained and complained. And Raffensperger didn't know how to deal with her. So he told his deputy, Jordan Fuchs, he told her to go cut some kind of deal with her to shut her the hell up. And so they did, and they did a consent decree. But the consent decree was unconstitutional to begin with. I know you lefties don't give a shit about the Constitution. I know. You're post-constitutional. But what the consent decree did was it said you no longer have to verify mail-in ballots by the signature of their driver's license or the person's a form to register to vote. Instead, you can verify the signature with the forger or the person who signed the application for a mail-in ballot. And that's what they did. And thousands of fraudulent votes got in that way. So when he says, and now we march peacefully and patriotically to the Capitol to let our voices be heard, dipshits like you here, we're going to overturn this election. So cut me a break. Cut me a real break. I'm going to get in. Go ahead, Jade. You finish, then I'm going to start reading.
That was a great rant, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
I loved it.
Thank you.
I got a question for Ashley Sanders, who put in something about felon. I have one question. Itemize to me the crime of which President Trump is guilty. Tell me what it is, because I don't think you can.
Yeah, I don't think she would know.
Well, first of all, it doesn't exist.
Right. The felonies are not real, whether you know that or not, dipshit.
The instruction to the jury.
Yep.
The instruction to the jury by that son of a bitch partisan judge was that
Rashawn.
You don't have to know what crime he was guilty of, just that he was guilty.
Right. Like hold on. Ashley Sanders, that was literally written for the jurors to read. What she just said. That was literally written. Go ahead.
Yeah. That's exactly what he said. That you don't have to know what the crime was. What?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I thought in this country there were
it's constitutional.
There are certain things that we were entitled to, including facing your accusers and knowing what crime you're accused of.
Right.
And
let me interrupt for a second. So Ashley Sanders. So this is probably the first time you've ever heard this, but you can probably Google it and find it. In the New York court, this judge allowed Alvin Bragg, the district attorney, allowed him to take 24 state documents charges that the statute of limitations ran out 6 years prior. This is fact. This judge allowed him to magically convert them into the federal system. A state prosecutor is not allowed in the federal system, but Juan Merchan allowed him to convert all 24 state documents charges into federal elections filed charges. Federal felony charges from misdemeanor state charges to federal felony. There's so much wrong right there to begin with. So how was he able to do that? Well, he wasn't. So when assholes like you say, this is the first time where millions of Americans are going to vote for a candidate found guilty of felonies. I mean, pull your head out of your ass. This thing, once it hits an appellate court, they're going to throw it out day one. They have to. If we're going to continue to be a constitutional republic, they have to. And second of all, did you know that the judge is not a real judge? He's not in that circuit. He was handpicked to do all the cases against Trump. So he did the Bannon case. He did the what's the other guy's name? He just got out of jail, as a matter of fact. The other guy, Neil. I forget his name. Everybody know his name.
You'll think of it. And
yeah. He was his economics advisor, right?
Yeah, one other thing. How many witnesses did Judge Marchand disallow?
Thank you. That's another one. That's another one. Ashley Sanders. So the judge allows the Alvin Bragg to convert these state misdemeanor documents charges, meaning you didn't cross your T and dot your I properly on these documents. So he allows him to convert them into federal felony elections crimes. Yet Trump was bringing in, his legal team was bringing in a Federal Elections Commission executive to testify that Trump broke no federal election laws. And the judge said, I won't allow him. So they magically changed from the state system into the federal system for elections violations. And then he doesn't allow, who the fuck doesn't allow? What kind of a judge doesn't allow the defense to bring in And elections, it's not like he's like a nobody on the street with just an opinion. This guy's an federal elections commission executive who wanted to testify to say Donald Trump broke no elections laws. I don't know what we're doing here.
This judge needs to be taken off the bench and disbarred. He basically disallowed exculpatory evidence.
He didn't allow that either. He also doubled down on not recusing himself, even though there's a New York law that says if you have a relative who is 6 ways from separation, okay, that is making money off of a case, you must recuse yourself. His daughter has a company that she runs, and she's making millions of dollars off of her father's case against Trump. Seriously. And there's so many times during this trial where the judge was actually helping the prosecution. Literally giving them advice in open court, giving them advice of what they should do. All right, we're going to move on.
Ashley Sanders, if you're still there, you probably realize that you're so full of bullshit that it's oozing out of your ears.
So she sounds like the south end of a northbound horse.
Yeah, and if you have any interest in supporting your arguments, we would really.
That's right, Sansom.
Yeah, I'm sure we would really enjoy to hear from you. So let us know.
Yeah. All right. Oh, okay. So now that that's out of the way.
Calm down, Rich. Calm down.
I know. RNC, I just can't stand ignorance. She sounds like a glittering jewel of colossal ignorance. That's a Rush Limbaugh.
No, wait.
Yeah.
Wait. What it is she's a sponge for CNN and MSNBC. That's the problem. We've talked about this before.
CNN, my best.
Honestly,
yeah.
If all you listened to was CNN and MSNBC, you would think that not letting Trump get elected was not only the right thing, but your civil duty.
Right.
And
right. And you know what else I found? Jade, tell me if I'm wrong on this. I'm going to go on another rant. Okay, so it's going to be a long night, guys. So
we're here for the duration.
What's that?
We're here for the duration.
Yeah. Oh man, there's so many things about this bullshit. So you have people like Democrats on every level of government, and then you have even judges, right? Lawyers, Jesus Christ, all the media, right? All complaining, saying that if Donald Trump gets elected, he's going to destroy our democracy. Well, first of all, we don't live in a democracy, you bunch of dipshits, you. We live in a constitutional republic. Number two, do they not live in reality? We had this one broad that was in the DNC. She was at the convention, and she's saying, if he gets elected, he's gonna weaponize the DOJ and go it. That's how she sounded, by the way. I'm doing that. He's gonna weaponize the DOJ and go after political enemies. And I'm sitting there smacking my forehead, going, "You stupid! See you next Tuesday." Are you kidding me? You don't know that that's what Biden, Harris have been doing to Trump and to the J6ers and anybody else that gets in their way? They have weaponized the entire DOJ against their political enemies. It's unbelievable that these people have the balls, the sheer balls, to say something like that. Trump's going to ruin our democracy. You know, Trump never weaponized anything against a political enemy. Never once. He's never said he wants to.
We already know what he's going to do. He's already been there for 4 years.
Yes, we already know he's going to make life much better. Hey, Special K, what's up, brother? Thanks for being here, man. I appreciate it.
You know, it's like when Kamala comes out and it's like, oh, yeah, vote for me and I'll make things much better than the last administration. Wait a minute.
Well, see, it's other bullshit lies like that where they go, well, like even Karine Jean-Pierre, you know, the worst friggin' spokesperson for a White House, right? Well, they always come out and say, when you talk about their lack of immigration policy, they say, you know, like their open borders policy, they say, well, you know, the immigration system is broken. It was broken by the last administration. Now, broken when you think of broken, when you're a normal person with a triple-digit IQ, right? You think broken, oh, it's not working anymore, right? But what they mean by broken is it's working perfectly. That Trump shut down the border. He made deals with Mexico and other South American countries to keep their people at bay. He had remain in Mexico instead of what the Democrats like to do is they like to bring them in. Obama started this. They bring them in, they get their court date, and then they never show up for the court date and they roam the country. All right. Obama even told the judges, and you go, the judges work in the judicial branch. Well, not the immigration judges. They work for the executive branch at the pleasure of the president. A lot of people don't know that, but it's true. So he told the immigration judges to not issue bench warrants if they met. In other words, giving them a de facto amnesty, right? So these assholes are telling us that Trump broke the immigration system. I mean, they're saying, well, we need a way to get in. Yeah, go to a legal port of entry, jackass, and apply for citizenship there, like all the other good people, like this woman sitting right next to me on the screen did. She's originally from Canada, and she came here legally, which is why she wasn't separated from children. She wasn't put into a cell, right? You come in legally, and shit like that doesn't happen to you. All right, I'm done.
I love it. I love it. When you get going, you're just...
I know. I never shut the fuck up, though, so...
Now, the problem is your blood pressure right now.
Nah, we're good. All right. RNC scores election law victories in these swing states. Here's what that could mean for November. Kamala Harris is changing... I wrote this one. Kamala Harris is changing values. A closer look after she told CNN's Dana Bash her values haven't changed. Let's go up here. You won't believe Harris and Merrick Garland's latest trick to avoid blame for inflation. Well, we're not going to get down. I'm just going to start reading them. Let's see. All right. So this is the Epoch Times or Epic Times, however you want to say it. Harris defends shifting positions in primetime interview. So it has Vice President Kamala Harris in her first interview as the Democratic presidential nominee on August 29, clarified her shifting positions on fracking and border security. Yes, there's an election. End of story. Full stop, right? She also defended the Biden administration's record on the economy and confirmed that she won't change current U.S. policy on handling the Israel-Hamas war. She supports Hamas. Can we be honest? She supports these friggin' people that are supposedly Palestinians that are fucking up all the campuses, right? That are literally were outside trying to attack the DNC or people in the DNC when the DNC was running last week. Holy crap. Right? And she supports them and they're all pro Hamas. I don't give a shit. You're a Palestinian. You voted for Hamas. It's like they did a poll. What is it? 2 years ago. 78% still support Hamas. I don't give a shit if they're frightened to give that answer. 78% is the number. So she also defended, I already read that.
Here's the question though.
Go ahead.
I understand there were no Palestinian reps
at the
DNC.
Oh, really? There weren't?
Apparently, there were no Palestinian reps.
Wow.
So Ilhan Omar and the like were absent, apparently.
Yeah. Rashida Tlaib.
Yeah, Rashida. I can't.
They probably told them, please stay away.
Yeah, I can't personally verify this, but that's what I'm led to believe.
I didn't see. I didn't see either one of them, Ilhan or Rashida. I didn't see them.
Yeah, so I wonder what that means, though.
Well, it means that they told him shut the fuck up. That's what it means.
Yeah, but
I'm sorry. I got riled, so now I'm throwing the bad language out there. I gotta police myself.
Blood pressure, Rich. Blood pressure.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but what does that mean? Does that mean that they've decided to be less pro Hamas?
No, they're just hiding it from the American people. Look. I did a video and a story this week, I believe it was, and it was on Radish Taliban. That's funny. And it was on the fact that over 70, it was like up to 78% of registered Democrats, mind you, they had no idea of Kamala's radical policies. Like they have no clue that she wants to increase the corporate tax rate. They have no clue that she wants to do a fucking wealth tax, which is going to wait a minute, get off the emergency joint. Go get the all right, brother. What you call it? That she and Biden was 44.4% on a capital gains tax. Right. In other words, when you haven't realized the gain yet, they're going to tax your ass for that money every year after year. That will kill investment. Absolutely kill investment. Right.
And
It
you know what?
it also lends to the idea of you will own nothing and you will be happy, because I always give this example. Suppose you buy a house at 300,000, right? And within 3 years now it's worth 450,000. That's a 150 capital gain if my Catholic school math is correct, right? So you will have to pay, according to Biden, 44.4% tax on that $150,000 every year. Okay? So what happens? The first year you don't have over $40,000 to pay on the tax. So you got to either start selling other assets, right, to make that. But then what do you do next year? You don't have any more assets to sell, right? Eventually you're going to have to foreclose. But they have a little plan, these sneaky little globalist pricks. No, I won't say it. They have a little plan that they got a bunch of hedge fund manager friends of theirs that are forming these corporate whatever they are, and they're going to buy your house and lease it back to you. So you will own nothing, but you'll be happy. Yeah, they're saying it's only for the rich. Yeah, so was the income tax. It was only supposed to be for anybody that made $1 million, and it was a 1% tax. Now look who pays. Anybody who works, unless you're in the bottom 25% of the economy.
And then I heard I didn't even recognize the dip that was saying it, but it sounds like they were backing off slightly, and they were talking about taxing unrealized gains on your portfolio, like on your stocks.
Oh yeah,
and
they want your money.
I got a little confused because this guy's excuse was, well, you pay on unrealized gains. We're already doing that. You pay property tax.
Yep.
And
if they reassess you, yeah, you're going to pay the difference.
Well, they always reassess. And so this guy's excuse for taxing the crap out of your stock investments was that you pay property tax. And the interviewer was saying, it's not the same thing. You know, we're paying tax on the property so we can fix the roads and schools and recreation parks and God knows what.
Right.
You know, this kind of thing reminds me. Remember, a few years ago, Greece did what we call a haircut.
Yeah.
And just whatever was in there,
measures and all that. Yeah.
You suddenly had 10% less.
Yep. Oh yeah, yeah. Well, you know what? Barack Obama started this shit years ago. I have an audio file of him where he said that when white people leave a city and move into the suburbs, which is generally like the American dream, right? Black people do it too. I hate to tell you, Barack, but he said that it was racist. And the reason, of course it was racist, bigot. The reason why it was racist is because when you move from the city out to a suburb and buy a home in a suburb, what do you take with you? Your taxes. So you're no longer paying property tax inside the city. Therefore, you're a racist, because a lot of those black schools, they go downhill because they don't have your tax dollars anymore. This a-hole was assuming, right? He was assuming that nobody else is going to buy that house when you move out. That house is just going to become abandoned. No one's going to buy that shit.
Well, in fact, he was probably partially correct.
Yeah, well, most people can't just take their home, not sell it, and move out and buy a house in the suburbs. Most people sell their home and take that capital gain to put down on their other house.
Yes, but in the last, I don't know how many years, the game is you stop paying your mortgage. It takes the bank year and a half to finally get you evicted.
Wow.
And that started happening when people had big mortgages and suddenly found themselves underwater.
Yeah.
When the market crashed, the housing market went down, and suddenly they owed more than they.
That could be another rant I could do. If you want me to do it, I'm willing.
Well, let's not do that today. Let's say that.
Okay.
But then people started just walking away. And then all of a sudden, the banks owned all these houses, and they didn't. I mean, banks don't want to own houses. Banks want money, but they couldn't sell these houses. So in fact, he was at least partially correct, because nobody was going to buy these houses because the bank had to get a certain amount out of them that nobody was going to pay, certainly not in the areas that people were moving out of.
Yeah.
So that's partially what happened there. Yeah, we had a neighbor do that. They were always a bit funny, but after they left, they kind of up and left, and suddenly we saw
Bush
a big
started.
dumpster in the driveway, and workmen.
Kamala was in the driveway.
Well, no, it wasn't on fire. It was dumpster,
Oh, okay.
Just a dumpster, not a dumpster fire.
All right.
But there was a big dumpster in the driveway, and people were bringing out like construction materials. And what we found out, we never went in there, but what we found out is they had stopped paying their mortgage like more than a year, like a year and a half or 2 years before. Wow. And then just before they were about to be like physically taken out by the sheriff, they broke through all the walls, took out all the copper pipe, took out fixtures, and man. they sold the pipe, and they and so they took out everything in this house that they could.
Oh yeah.
And then the bank owned it, and so now the bank's really underwater. They had to fix it up. They did sell it.
Yeah.
What is that? Hit that like button, all you
Hit the like button, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, come on, you slackers. Come on, we got 16 watching and only 13 likes. Come on, you slackers.
I'm only seeing 12.
I'm seeing 16 and 13 likes.
Okay. 2025, a big sign on the southern and northern borders. Closed for repairs. Yeah, they should. I mean, guys, the Democrats want you to think that it is racist to have an immigration policy. How? What the fuck is wrong with their thinking? Like, what's wrong with them?
I tell you what. How about we allow the same rights that Mexico allows to foreigners moving down there?
Oh.
How about that?
They are strict as hell. They are strict as hell.
If you're not a national, you can't even buy there are certain properties that they won't let you buy. Like,
I know.
A corner lot.
And they deport you. They deport your ass right away.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And
thank you, sir. Yeah.
How about we adopt some of the immigration policies that some of these fine countries have?
Yeah, really.
So I don't mind work visas. I think work visas are great. You want to come, you need somebody to do the work. You can't find people here. Great. Go get some workers, and then they go back. I don't want them voting.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't care. You can come, you can stay, you can work, you get the proper paperwork.
You heard Texas, they just got rid of 1 million.
So, yeah. It was like 1.1 million that they.
I hope a lot of other states. In fact, I want to read this one story. Hang on.
We're never going to get to the news, aren't we, Rick?
I know. I'm just having a good time, though. Let me see. RNC scores 3 victories. Let's read this. Huh?
You're going to have to save some of these stories for next week.
Yeah, really. All right, ready? RNC scores election law victories in these swing states. Here's what that could mean in November. Here we go. So it says the Republican National Committee this week filed election-related lawsuits in Michigan, North Carolina, coming off of a Supreme Court victory last week over election procedures in Arizona. An RNC initiative called Protect the Vote has filed more than 100 lawsuits across 25 states and recruited more than 150 lawyers and volunteer poll watchers across the country. This is the opposite of what that a-hole Democrat election lawyer Mark Elias has been doing. He went around in 2020 and he's bragging about doing it now again and sued states for their election laws to take away any election law that was election integrity bound. He says, we are defending the law and fighting for common sense security measures that benefit all Americans, like stopping illegal immigrants from voting, mail ballot safeguards, voter ID measures, stopping leftist dark money, and cleaning the voter rolls. Right-wing dark money is fine. That's not what he meant. Janine Bresso, director of election integrity for the Republican National Committee, told the Daily Signal in a written statement, "We are winning in court and have recruited over 150,000 volunteers for the election. Good. We need another 150,000. We are protecting the vote for all Americans." Nice. I like that. That's what I like to see. I think we need so many people to volunteer. We need to change the laws to volunteer to be poll watchers, and we need to change the laws as well, because in a lot of Democrat, it happened to me one time. In a lot of Democrat places, the polling places, they shoved the Republican poll watchers out the door. It happened to me right before the school buses came in, so they could cheat. And so I mean, first of all, at the very low level, we need cops who are favorable to free and fair elections. Because a lot of those cops, they're union guys in these cities, and they go, "Oh yeah, I'll do whatever you want, Democrats." And they because if you're think about this, how many stories have we heard where the poll watchers in 2020, Republicans, they said, "Look, they're telling me I got to stand 40 feet away when I can't see what they're doing." So then they go and they move up to the regular space. Well, they call the cops on them. The cops come in and say, "You got to do what they say." It's like hell I do. Now, I'm a poll watcher. I'm supposed to watch them count the votes. You can watch it over there. No, I can't. I can't see from over there. Well, it's not their fault. Well, yeah, it is, because they're telling me that I can't stand in an area where I can see and I'm not in the way. We need people with a bunch of balls that are going to stand up to that. And we need cops that are on our side, not necessarily Republican cops, but cops that say, "You know what? This is bullshit. You're not going to force them to go all the way on the other side of the room." Now, whether that happens or not, I don't know. But that's what we need. Next one. Let's see. Here you go. This is going to be great. This is from Axios, by the way. Inside the tension in Harris's Frankenstein team. The good vibes of Vice President Kamala Harris's campaign mask tensions among competing factions, as Harris loyalists and Obama alumni, are grafted onto what has been President Biden's campaign. Why it matters. New people are remaking the campaign on the fly. They have to for Kamala. She's a nothing burger. They got to constantly try to how do we get people to like us? The result is a large and at times unwieldy team with internal worries about cohesiveness when inevitable stumbles rise. 6 people involved in the campaign tell Axios. They won't tell us who, so it could be made up. Biden's campaign was insular, with a few long-serving aides making big decisions. The Harris campaign has become a diffuse Frankenstein team with multiple power centers. That's right. She doesn't know what the hell she's doing, and they got to do everything they can to make her look not boring, not like a radical leftist progressive a-hole, and to look like she's hip. It says zoom in.
I don't think she's very smart.
I don't think she is either.
I don't think she's very smart. We know what position she was in to get some of the positions that she got put in.
Yeah, and it wasn't a pretzel.
And so it makes me wonder.
Heels up Harris.
How did she get through law school?
Maybe she slept with the professors. I don't know.
Whose did she do what to? And then, this is pure speculation, guys. Don't think that I got any inside information here. I just have to ask myself, did she find somebody to go take the bar exam for her?
Maybe she pulled a Elizabeth Warren and said that she was a Pocahontas herself. I don't know.
I have no idea. I'm told that law school, it's not easy, but it's not that tough. But the bar exam, so
my first semester of law school was tougher than my entire undergrad.
Okay.
And I'm not a lawyer. I did one semester, and that was enough for me, money wise. I didn't have the money, so I went out and I did other things.
But the bar exam is tough, and you know, I don't think there's anybody you can like bribe to pass the bar exam. So
No,
she's in her what, mid to late 50s.
she's my age. I think. Well, wait a minute. When was she born? I saw it just the other day. Maybe 65. So she's probably 59.
Yeah. Okay. Late 50s. So
Yeah.
that's long enough ago that, you know, having the chips planted in your brain to identify you at the exams, it's before that.
Mini bar exam.
Yeah. Yeah, mini
straight
bar
up.
exam.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I love you, Bobbity.
Vodka martini, dirty, 3 olives,
Eh,
Grey Goose. Anything else you want to know?
exactly.
But yeah, so I find myself wondering, how did she scam the bar exam?
I don't know, man.
And then again, you know, our president who graduated at top of his class, it turns out that he was in the lower third.
Yeah, yeah. He didn't have 3 degrees. He had 1.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Shall we go on?
What was his name? Sam. What was his name? The ABC guy, Sam. I can't remember his name.
Who are you talking about?
The reporter that like busted him. Sam. He was an ABC reporter. He was there for years. I just can't remember his name. But he's the one that he pointed out all those lies, just straight up lies. And
yeah, I can probably count on 2 hands the number of minutes that I've watched ABC News.
Yeah, I know.
In the last 20 years.
Oh, I know. Here you go. Harris says no regrets about defending Biden's fitness for office. She dodged the question whether Biden offered her his endorsement when he told her on the phone he was dropping out. I don't think he did. He was pissed. Vice President Kamala Harris is standing by her previous comments defending President Joe Biden's mental acuity, even now as she's running to replace him. So let's get this right. She, along with everybody else on the left, said, he's sharper than ever. Remember that? Remember Joe Scarborough, the guy that looks like the kid with the banjo up on the bridge in the movie Deliverance? Remember him? Well,
the best Biden ever.
Yeah, he said the best Biden ever. This is it, man. He's the best he's ever been. Yeah, and so Kamala's replacing him because his brain stopped working, right? It's made of sauerkraut now, and and they pulled him off the election stage, kicking and screaming.
Yeah, but 5 minutes ago he was brilliant.
Yeah. So now she sticks by it, right? Vice President.
Yeah, and if you remember, Joe Scarborough, he prefaced his comment by saying something to the effect, "Are you ready for the truth? You can't handle the truth. Can you handle the truth?
And if you don't like it, well then, F you." He said that.
F you can't handle the truth. This is the best Biden ever.
Yeah. So the vice. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
How many people put palms to forehead? Boy.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, that was a good one.
Yeah.
That was a good one. And
yeah, rotting oatmeal. Yeah, I called him fermented bag of sauerkraut. That's what I call him. Yeah. What's up, Lou? Yeah, so let me get on with this. So it has the vice president and 2024 Democratic presidential candidate was asked by CNN whether she has any regrets about defending Biden's mental acuity amid a firestorm of skepticism following the first presidential debate. No, not at all. Of course, not at all, because she has to double down because she doesn't want to be known as the liar, the bullshit artist, right? Harris rose to the top of the ticket after Biden dropped out of the race last month following his disastrous debate performance against former President Donald Trump in June. And let's be honest, they did that debate. They insisted on it doing it in June so that they didn't have enough time to get rid of him. They knew he was going to screw it up. They wanted enough time to get rid of him so they could put somebody else in there. The debate, which included Biden repeatedly tripping over his words and losing his train of thought, opened the floodgates to traditional Democratic allies of the president joining conservatives in sounding the alarm over Biden's mental acuity and age. The vice president publicly supported Biden throughout the media circus and secured his endorsement just minutes after his own campaign came to close. Right. Harris dodged the question on whether Biden initially endorsed her to run in his place when he called to announce his withdrawal from the election amid mounting concern over his mental faculties. Let me tell you something. There were probably 15 to 25 people listening in on that phone call. So somebody could come out and say it, right? What about the endorsement? Did you ask for it? Bash asks Harris. He was very clear that he was going to support me. Does anyone watching this believe that? So when he called to tell you, he said, I'm pulling out of the race and I'm going to support you. She responds, well, my first thought was not about me, to be honest with you. Oh, bull effing shit.
Oh.
She ran around threatening people, saying, I'm the vice president. I'm the next choice. And they were like, you didn't win a single friggin' delegate. No one voted for you. So who are you kidding? And then she literally told them she would make so many waves. So they were like, all right, fine. At least she can think. My first thought was about him, to be honest. Bullshit. Her first thought was she was that little girl. Remember when she threw him under the segregation bus? I think history is going to show a number of things about Joe Biden's presidency. I think history is going to show that in so many ways it was transformative. Yeah, he transformed us into a communist country, be it on what we have accomplished around finally investing in America's infrastructure. What investment in infrastructure? Because they passed a bill and spent billions of dollars doesn't mean they did anything on the infrastructure. Investing in new economics, yeah, Bidenomics sucks. We all know it. In new industries, what new industries? Anything that is the Green New Deal bullshit? What we have done to bring our allies back together? Jesus Christ, they all laugh at us now. They're all together laughing at the United States and have confidence in who we are as America and grow that alliance. What we have done to stand true to our principles, including the one of the most important international rules and norms, which is the importance of sovereignty and yada, yada, yada bullshit. Oh, my God.
Well, here's something to think about. The Dems have a win-win situation here because they wanted to get rid of Biden, right? The DNC decided they wanted to get rid of Biden, and they knew, well, of course, up until 10 minutes ago, he was the most brilliant guy in the world.
Right.
But then all of a sudden, we had a problem. Now we got to get rid of him. So they got rid of him. And if you think about it, the heir apparent, if anybody, should be Dean Phillips. He actually got some delegates.
Yeah.
So we got Kamala making lots of noise. And so the DNC is put themselves in a position where it's okay. Mm-hmm. We got rid of Joe. We really never liked him. Do you know how many times Joe Biden tried to become the nominee for president?
Oh, yeah.
We really, really actually never liked him anyway. And he was kind of a bit of a throwaway, but we managed to get him elected. And we really didn't like Kamala. She didn't even get one delegate. She was like out about 2 minutes into the whole primary.
Oh, I know.
And so now they put themselves again into a win-win position, because if she wins, of course they win, they've got it. If she loses,
she steals it.
We got rid of Biden and
Kamala or Kamala.
We got rid of Joe. We got rid of Kamala because they don't like either of them right now. Yeah. So because they know she either wins and okay, fine, she wins and we'll play the game, or she loses. And when I say win, I mean, it's like the 2020 election.
Yeah.
Of the votes that were counted, Biden got the most. But
he didn't get the most votes. He got the most ballots. Yes.
Yeah, he got the most counted. Anyway, but so if
when everybody else was supposed to be at home and they were supposed to come back and start in the morning, that's when he got his most votes.
Yeah, overnight. How did that happen?
Overnight.
There were several states.
Unbelievable.
Trump was ahead like 3 to 5 points.
I know.
And in the morning, I wake up, I turn it on, and he's losing by 1 point.
I know. It's so ridiculous.
But the point is, this is still brilliant strategy, because they've got somebody like Gavin Newsom, who, don't tell me he doesn't want it, but he's not interested this time around because he doesn't want a loss on his record.
Right.
So,
I know.
He's not keen right now. He wants to do it when he thinks they're really going to win.
Yep.
And he can talk. He's real slick. Reminds me a little of Bill Clinton.
Yeah, he is slick. And let me say this. I don't know if I told you this, but he actually has to memorize everything because he has dyslexia that is so bad he literally can't read without having problems. And so he learned to memorize speeches, which is why he doesn't use a teleprompter. He memorizes it. He has a really good memory. But when you do that, you can screw him up by just, and there's a comedian. I am terrible with names on these guys, but there's a comedian out there. I'll find the clip and play it. And he brought Gavin Newsom. He's a California guy, talk radio, and he's a comedian. And he brought him on his show, and he was saying things about how black people can't get something, not voter ID, but can't get something. He just kept interrupting. Well, why can't they? And he goes, oh, it's just like in many cities, like they just don't have access to. Well, why not? Do white people have access? Yes. Well, why don't they? He just kept doing it, and it screwed Newsom up because Newsom memorizes things, and the way he memorizes them, it's this subject, and I'm going to go down here. Now it's this subject, and I'm going to go down here. He could have sub-subjects inside each subject, right? That's how he memorized it. And if you just mess with him, you can throw him off. And he did it. He threw him off. And because he just kept saying, well, answer the question. Why not? Don't they have, what is it? Is it a white thing? Like, don't black people have access to this? And because Newsom was lying. The big thing for Democrats was, well, we know they're going to vote for us. So we can make it look like they're too stupid to figure out how to get a voter ID or how to get a job. And stuff, because they won't take offense because, they're Democrats. And lately, thanks to Trump, I think, in a big way, they're waking the hell up that they've been, taken for granted for more years than they care to admit. Yep. All right. Kamala Harris is changing values. I wrote this one. A closer look after she told CNN's Dana Bash her values haven't changed. In a segment of an interview with CNN that aired on Thursday's episode of The Lead, 2024 Democratic presidential contender, Vice President Kamala Harris, responded to a question about policy changes by declaring that her values have not changed. Did you hear that? She also noted that the Inflation Reduction Act embodies the principles of the Green New Deal. The Inflation Reduction Act didn't reduce inflation at all, and it did things like it took millions and millions of dollars. The Inflation Reduction Act took what was it, tens of billions of dollars out of Medicare and put it towards an electric vehicle company. A lot of people still don't know that. Think about it. If you're a corporate guy, you're a corporate CEO, and you have different programs that your customers pay into, and you took money from one and shifted it over to this new one that nobody paid anything into it for, but they were going to get something out of it, you'd be doing the perp walk because you'd be under arrest for fraud. So how can politicians get away with that shit? CNN chief political correspondent makes her sound important, right? She's a moron. Dana Bash asks Harris, generally speaking, and we're going to watch this too, generally speaking, how should voters look at some of the, at least she had the balls to do this. Generally speaking, how should voters look at some of the changes that you've made, that you've explained some here? If your policy, is it because you have more experience? Now she's trying to say, look, you're flip-flopping left and right. Let's give it a watch.
Generally speaking, how should voters look at some of the changes that you've made, that you've explained some of here in your policy? Is it because you have more experience now and you've learned more about the information? Is it because you were running for president in a Democratic primary? And should they feel comfortable and confident that what you're saying now is going to be your policy moving forward?
Dana, I think the most important and most significant aspect of my policy perspective and decisions is my values have not changed. You mentioned the Green New Deal. I have always believed, and I have worked on it, that the climate crisis is real, that it is an urgent matter.
Guys, if you have to say the climate crisis is real, then you know it's bullshit. Why would you have to? That's like saying we have to say that capitalism is real, right? I mean, who the fuck does that? somebody that has to support their own idiocracy.
To which we should apply metrics that include holding ourselves to deadlines around time. We did that with the Inflation Reduction Act. We have set goals for the United States of America and by extension the globe around when we should meet certain standards for reduction of greenhouse gas emissions, as an example. That value has not changed.
They're all
My
watermelon.
value around what we need to do to secure our border, that value has not changed.
Oh, Jesus Christ. She doesn't have a value of securing our border. They have open borders. Who does she think she's
I
kidding?
spent 2 terms as the Attorney General of California prosecuting transnational criminals.
Okay, but you spent 3.5 years as the border czar, vice president of the United States, and you haven't done jack shit. In fact, you've done worse than jack shit. You've made it so much easier for illegals to come into the country, including terrorists. For goodness sake.
Organizations, violations of American laws regarding.
She's actually trying to use as a resume what she did when she was AG, and I looked into that, and that was all a bunch of horse shit too. But she's using her resume as AG instead of being able to say, well, as vice president, I did this, that, and the other thing, and this, and that, and that. No, she can't because she's full of crap.
The illegal passage of guns, drugs, and human beings across our border. My values
That just goes to show she knows what the problem is. She didn't do jack shit to stop it.
have not changed.
Her values have not changed. Oh my God.
No, my
Oh.
favorite, my favorite when she came on and said, the price of eggs has gone up 50%.
Oh,
The
yeah.
price of ground beef has gone up almost 50%.
Yeah,
And this
hey,
was
Linda, what's up?
Since before the pandemic.
Yeah.
And of course, the question is, excuse me, but what administration was in power at the time of this?
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah.
Hey, volume dealer. Haven't seen you in a while. What's up, brother? Good to see you, man. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Well, Jade, my big thing that I would say after she said that all these things are bad and people can't afford food and all that, I'd have been like, so should the RNC do this as one big commercial or should they break it down into like 3?
Yeah.
Because they did. They used it.
I'm thinking the Trump campaign has to send her a thank you card, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Or maybe have
For
to
real.
claim her as one of their supporters or something. I don't know. Oh, hi, Linda. Are you here, Linda? Yes.
Yeah, she's here. Oh, she'll be back soon. Okay.
But yeah, it was, again, they say these things, and how is it that the libs out there, they can't remember something 1 minute to the next?
I know. Well, they do. They just think that you're stupid.
Because they say one thing, and then like 5 minutes later, they'll say something which basically you extrapolate from that, and it contradicts the first thing.
Right. Yeah. Well, and what they do, like Clinton was a master of that. And you go, wait a minute, you can't hold me to what I said 5 minutes ago because I'm older and more experienced now. He actually used to say that shit. It's kind of,
there is a place for that. People can change their opinions, and
oh, cool. Go ahead.
and that can happen, but there should be a reason.
Hold on, please. Hold on. Hold that thought, please.
Yeah.
Lou, you and I got to get together. So hit me up sometime. All right. See you. He's an old school friend. He was a bass player. We had him on, actually. He was a bass player in some bands that I played with. But go ahead. I'm sorry, Gene.
No, I was saying
he's leaving. That's why I did that.
Yeah. There normally is a reason why you change your opinion. And, some things you're going to change your opinion in and some things you don't. It's happened to me, but I generally look at the circumstances and it's like, yeah, that opinion wasn't the greatest, or was just frank wrong, and I admit it, and I was going on wrong data or wrong, whatever, and now I've updated my opinion. But these guys do it within 5 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
These guys do it.
That's their policy. Which way's the wind blowing?
Yeah.
That's what they do. That's what they do, and they think we don't
notice.
Yeah, we don't notice. Let me play the rest of these. Okay, so she began to copy Trump's policies and ideas. She came out with a plan to stop taxing tips for waiters and waitresses and other people who work in the hospitality industry. Trump was the one who came up with that idea first, and no one will ever convince me that Kamala didn't steal the idea, knowing that people who listen to her will never find out that she stole it from a former president. It's an indictment of our mainstream news media. Though Trump started saying it a few months ago, here he is saying it at the RNC.
At the center of our plan for economic relief are massive tax cuts for workers that include something else that's turned out to be very popular, actually. Here it's very popular in this building and all those hotels that I saw that are so nice. I'm staying in a nice one. It's called no tax on tips. No tax on tips. No tax on tips.
Now, Trump had gone through the story. If you haven't heard it, he was in a restaurant, and there was this waitress that was really nice to him. She liked him and all that. And he literally asked her. He said, "Let me ask you something." He goes, "You're a worker here," and he goes, "What could I do that would make your life better?" And she said, "How about you don't tax my tips?" And he thought about it, and he goes, "You got it. I get elected. That's what I'm going to do." Well, fast forward 2 months, and then you have this.
When I was a United States Senator, we fought together for paid family leave and medical leave.
Yeah, everything the government's going to give you.
And earlier this year, right here in Vegas, we celebrated your historic contract win. And it is my promise to everyone here, when I am president, we will continue our fight for working families of America. Including to raise the minimum wage and eliminate taxes on tips for service and hospitality workers.
He called it hospitality. Right. Here we're going nuts, right? She stole the friggin' idea. There's no way anybody's going to tell me she didn't steal the idea. What do you say, Jade?
Oh, I think raising the minimum wage is great. I think that that's the answer to everybody's problem.
It certainly is.
And it's really going to be the answer because
Thanks, man.
Yeah, you won't have to worry about going to work anymore because your employer won't be able to afford employees.
Yeah, exactly.
And going to let you all go.
Well, plus minimum wage is that's like the lowest they can pay you.
And then everybody wonders, the minimum wage goes up and they say, great, I've got more money. And then they end up going to the grocery store and wondering why they're leaving with the same amount of groceries when they just spent a week's pay. Because that's how it works.
Right.
You know, when you force the system like that,
yep.
You know, they keep saying it like the company you work for is not going to pass on the increased cost.
Right. Here's a dirty little secret about the minimum wage. Why Democrats, every time they come into power, they say, we want to raise the minimum wage. The reason why, it has nothing to do with the people who work on minimum wage, because Democrats don't give a flying fuck about people who are working on minimum wage. What they care about is themselves and getting reelected. So how does raising the minimum wage do that? Well, because most unions are tied to the minimum wage in their contracts. Now, what do I mean by that? It means if the minimum wage goes up 20%, then their salaries go up 20%. See, the difference is the minimum wage guys make it, what is it, 7, 4, I forget what it is, right? It's been so long. But these guys, the lowest of most union workers, like $25. So what is 20% of $25 an hour as opposed to 20% of, what is it, $7.25 an hour? Think about that. It's a significant bump for that person, right? As opposed to the little guy that they're supposed to help. All right. So what that is a payback to the unions for all the money that they give, which I think should be illegal, because the money they give is dues money, which is supposed to go towards contract arbitration for the guys that are paying the dues. But no, they bypass that most of the time and say, fuck it, we'll just buy a Democrat with this money. Right. So that's to pay them back for helping them to get elected, because their contracts are literally tied to the minimum wage increase. So that's the dirty little secret that nobody wants to talk about.
Yeah, isn't the minimum wage in California now like up to $15?
It's something like that. Yeah, it's something like that. And a lot of companies are going out of business. See, liberals think that a business, every business, has a warehouse full of cash. They got all that cash. Look at all that cash. They should be sharing this with people, right? Hold on. The Federal Reserve is planning to lower interest rates. Yep. It'll create hyperinflation. And why are they doing it? To help Kamala get elected. That's why they're doing it. Think about that. They just announced that they're going to lower the rates. And you know what else? Dr. Steve Turley did a video, which I should play that. He did a video where he got insiders that are telling him they're doing another pandemic. They're talking about the avian flu, the bird flu, right? And they're going to get the WHO, who is a non-elected entity from the United States, but Joe Biden allowed them. He sent Anthony Blinken over to the summit where they were talking about the guidance program that initially the WHO said, yeah, we're going to send out guidance measures like you should lock down, you should wear a mask, you should do the social distancing, shut your businesses down. But each region that we tell this has the right to decline. Well, Biden, that prick, he sends Anthony Blinken to the summit, one of the summits in Europe, and they argued, they proposed an amendment saying no, that the region should not have the right to, that the WHO should control it. In other words, he gave away our fucking sovereignty. We had sovereignty on, we don't answer to an unelected body in another country. Well, now we're supposed to. And think about this too. Something like that, you would think they would put it through the Senate as a treaty. But Obama started this bullshit with that phony Iran nuclear deal. He would not. We're talking nukes with Iran, right? In the appendix of that thing, by the way, it said that within 15 years, Iran gets to have a bomb. Read it. It's still there. Go read it. You'll find it online. So Anthony Blinken goes over and makes this amendment, and they pass it. So now, technically, because they own all the guns, if the Biden administration tells us we have to lock down because the WHO said so, then guess what? We have to lock down. Even though it's all illegal, it's a treaty, but they never treat it as a treaty. This is what Democrat presidents do now. They do things, big things that are supposed to be a treaty, and they don't sign it as a treaty. Like that thing in France, the climate change bullshit that Trump pulled us out of. That should have been a treaty. You can't tell a nation they have to set certain standards. Like, we can tell ourselves we can set certain standards for their phony climate change bullshit, but you can't have another entity tell us that we can't agree to it without it being a treaty. I mean, am I wrong? I mean, this is what our Constitution says you have to do, and they have to go through advice and consent. And I don't even think Schumer's Senate would pass. I don't think they would, because they would be here. They would be hammered. You want them to tell us to lock the fuck down after 2 years of what we went through at your bullshit? No, I don't think so. And for those who are new watching, I don't usually curse this much, but we had a libtard in here earlier who pissed me off. So forgive me. I'm still, Jade, I'm wild.
Yeah.
Can you prescribe me something?
I love it. And then have you seen recently they resurfaced a video? I forget if it was like from Minnesota or Massachusetts or someplace, where during the lockdowns, the police were running around, and if you were on your balcony, they had these loudspeakers yelling at you to get back in your house. And then if you didn't, they shot at you with paintball guns.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Well, hey, you saw in China where they were welding people into their apartments.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We're not quite there yet, but give it a minute.
Kamala wins. We'll be there within the first year and a half.
Give it a minute. But
I'm telling you, man.
Apparently they were running around, and there's video out there.
What comment?
I saw it in passing. I don't remember. But the cops were running around and shooting people with paintball guns, so you'd get back in your house. You weren't allowed to be on your own balcony.
Yeah, hold on. Special K, what comment are you talking about? What comment did they censor? Is it in one of my videos or here? Predicting They're predicting the commercial real estate market will collapse for 30-40% of workers return to the office. Yep. I don't know which comment you're talking about. Special K.
Was it a comment on this video?
Yeah, well, I guess so, because he's saying it wasn't. He was saying it's YouTube, not me. I knew that because I don't delete friends' comments. I only let me tell you something on my videos too. I don't delete anybody's comments. I got these people, oh, there you go, deleting a comment because I don't agree with you. And I'm like, no, jackass. There's a top and a new, and you have to select new if you're on top and you don't see your prior comment, or vice versa, because they think that I delete it. The only time I delete is when you're a troll, because I don't allow trolls just to get in there and gum up the works. You could be a liberal, leftist, progressive, whatever. You can say whatever the hell you want in my comments, and I'll debate you, up and down. But
yeah, you can be a liberal.
He deleted my comment because he was jealous of how amazing it was. You got me there, Liquid.
You can be a liberal, just be prepared to support your arguments.
Yeah, I know, man. They sometimes YouTube does suppress comments. They do, and it's sad. It's unfortunate, but I try to let everybody know. I only and when I remove a comment, I do that by deleting the person. I hide them from the channel, and it takes away all their comments. And you got to really be a bad troll for me to do that, because I really encourage liberals to come in and write stuff. I do. But if you're going to be a troll, I boot you right away, because I don't deal with that.
As far as I can tell, there is certain
and not a new. I'm a top and not a new, dude.
There you go. As far as I can tell, YouTube automatically strips comments with certain keywords.
Yeah. Oh. I have certain keywords that I put out there. Because they were, remember, well, you don't remember this. There were a group of Marxists, communists, that were attacking my brother's channel. And when my brother would ban them, they started coming over to mine when I had nothing to do with my brother's channel at the time, right? So they were coming into I would just show up on his show every now and then, right? So there were people that they were coming into my channel and screwing with me in the comments. And so some words they were using, they would constantly use the same words. So I just figured out, put them in the blocked words. I should remove that.
No, but there's a YouTube thing. This happened to me once. Long time ago, I was making a joke and something. I put in the word kidnapping. It was just as a, I wish I could, kidnap you and have you. And it never even showed up. It was automatically stripped.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, geez, well, I guess I probably shouldn't have used that word. I didn't certainly mean anything by it.
Yeah. In fact, I think I'll show you guys.
Bad choice of words.
Yeah, hang on. I'll show you guys the words that I block. Let me see. I'm going to go into studio. What is it? Settings. Is it under settings? No, it isn't. It's under customization. There we go. Branding basic. Where is it? No. Branding layout. No, it would be under settings. All right. Just give me a sec. I'll have this. Permissions. No. Community. There we go. Yeah, under the community, I have all the people. Who are blocked and all that. So let me see. Blocked words. One sub. Yeah, they were right. One comment, one like, one sub. That's what they are always right. So I have those 3 words blocked. If you have the number 1 and then sub, number 1 comment like that. Anyone who subscribes, buy your censorship, check out my channel, comment done, grow together, find yourself a hot girl. And the commies would say, how's your brother? They would all say that, right? So I put that in there. Let's see. Look at mine. Love for love. Bunch of dumbass. Sub to me back. Subscribe my channel. Submarine for submarine. I don't know what the hell that means. 3/5. Yeah, they always talk about the 3/5 clause because they were morons. Yeah. So that's that story. Let me move on. Let me see. We got a couple others.
We're an hour and a half in. You've done 3 stories.
I know. But you know what? I'm having fun.
We're having a good time.
We are. All right, so hold on. Let me get this one right. All right. So let's pull this one. This is Jesse Waters, who I like a lot. I think this is it. Yes, it is. All right, here we go.
Kamala finally sat down for an interview, but voters are still left with questions, burning questions.
Yeah, what's
So
that
what does
bitter taste in
America
my mouth?
really want to ask Kamala that Dana Bash didn't or wouldn't? Johnny went to find out.
Here we go. Great. The man on the
Kamala
street.
Harris finally doing an interview. Will you be watching?
Hell no.
She hasn't done one? Wow, I can't wait to see what she has to say.
I don't think she's going to bring anything to the table tonight that's any different than the nonsense we're hearing day in and day out.
I'm very excited because she's been missing for a while.
Where is she?
Since Kamala started running for president, what have you heard?
What have I heard about Kamala Harris?
Nothing.
I'm gonna have to get back to that. She's emotionally damaged.
The wannabe. She's an Obama puppet.
She's against guns. You know that she's pro-abortion.
For now.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
now.
She flip-flops on all the issues.
Yeah, she does.
Okay.
Membership in the Cheese of the Month Club and the Steak of the Month Club, and a copy of Vegetarian Times.
I'm a flip-flopper.
She hasn't done an interview in over a month.
Yeah.
Why is she so afraid of the press?
I don't think she's afraid of the press so much as, like, she's not prepared. Her handlers are afraid of what's going to come out of her mouth.
She's a liar,
Yeah.
man.
I don't think that she's not sharing her platform.
What is her platform then?
I don't know that. I can talk about that. I don't know.
This interview is taking place on CNN. Do you think they'll ask her the tough questions?
She's a female, so they're gonna go easy on her.
Yes, because I'm a journalist myself.
Since you're a journalist, if you were to come face to face with Kamala, what would you ask her?
What will I ask Kamala?
The question has to be, where you been and what are you going to do?
Kamala, what are you gonna do for the hood?
Kamala, can you please go into detail really on any of your policies?
I would ask Kamala Harris, how do you get your hair so nice? Kamala, what do you love about being married to a Jewish man?
Buckle up, I'm a really bad driver.
She's bringing her VP pick to sit on in the interview with her.
Yeah.
When was the last time you brought someone to sit on a job interview with you?
Never.
They're on the same ticket. They have the same views. They're going to work together.
We will work together and continue to work together.
She needs a man to help her out. Because I love Kamala Harris and she's a smart lady, I think that there's a method
The
behind the
evidence is
madness.
there.
Mr. Huff, Mr. Jenner is ready for your interview.
Actually, we'll be interviewing as a team. We're here to
Should Kamala do a Fox News interview?
She better be prepared.
Sure, why not? Yeah, why not? She should do an interview on Fox News, but definitely come super prepared because
They're not going to throw softball.
you guys are straight to it.
Fair, balanced, and still unafraid.
If you can't handle questions from Fox News, how is she going to face Vladimir Putin?
It is a good point, and I like you. She has a whole what's that word?
He's getting some vibes.
Go, you know the thing.
So Kamala might not do Fox News, but you just did. So what do you want to tell Jesse Waters?
That was fun.
So maybe Kamala should do Fox News after all.
Yeah, that was great. Hey, Jesse Waters, if you're doing the film, I'm your girl.
Jesse, I'm not with her.
You got to love that. I'm not with her.
You know,
I've seen a lot of that.
That just proves that the people that support her will make any excuse.
Yeah.
They just talk around it just like she does. You know, Did you see Jon Stewart, his recent little monologue? He tore them apart at the DNC.
Yeah.
He ripped him a new one.
Yeah. I don't know why he did it because he's one of them. But now you've seen Michael Rappaport recently, right?
No, I actually haven't seen him around recently.
Oh, he for about 2 months now, he's been saying on his videos, he's saying, voting for Trump is on the table. And he's the guy he's the guy that is like, if you needed someone, look, I need someone out there from Hollywood that could really rip the shit out of Trump, F-bombs and all, right? Oh, Michael Rappaport, because he's the guy that would do it, right? And
so I heard
he's now saying, I cannot vote for Kamala. He basically found two issues for her, his wallet and the way that the Biden administration is treating Israel because he's Jewish. And I would say I agree with both, but there's like 100 other reasons why too. And because they're just they screwed everything up in this country, and it was intentional, I believe. I mean, from the very beginning, they fucked up our energy sector, right? They spent so much money, they created the inflation. Only government creates inflation by overspending. I mean, and they don't even teach that in grade school anymore, but you should know that. Well, like I said, 78%. It was over 70, but in some areas, 78% of registered Democrats don't know Kamala is a radical left-wing progressive, that her policies are like off the chart radical. They don't know it. So they think that she's a normal person, that she's not like that extra chromosome type person walking around.
Well, there's that viral clip of somebody asking her what she thinks of being voted the most radically left senator. And she's like what do you mean? What do you mean? That's not true,
No, she was all in on the one. She was like, yes, I'm woke, and I think we all need to be woke. We need to be more woke. That was recent.
That one, no, but there was another one where it was like, she said, no, that was, I forget what poll. She said, no, that was them. They don't know what they're talking about. She was kind of resisting the label.
Oh, really?
Well, again, she's just like floating around in the wind, trying to get, put the sail out to gather as many votes as she can. That's all she's doing.
Here's what she sounds like.
He even called for termination of the United States Supreme, the supreme land of our nation, the United States Constitution.
She has no idea what she's saying there. And like Dementia Joe, and they want her to be president. Are you kidding me? They want her to be president.
Has she ever actually argued a criminal case in court as a prosecutor?
I don't know. Maybe as a DA, but not as an AG. The AG, unless your name's Letitia James, you don't, as an AG, usually.
No, I was thinking as a prosecutor or DA. Did she actually ever?
Probably. I don't know. I didn't care enough to look, but probably. Yeah.
I'd be interested to see. I mean, you have to be eloquent to argue criminal cases in court, at least if you want to win.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
So
if anybody knows,
let us know. Let's see. Here you go. Okay. So Florida teacher arrested after being photographed putting an autistic boy 3 in a headlock during story time. That's what we all want to see, right? A Florida teacher was arrested for putting a 3-year-old autistic boy in a headlock with her legs during story time as the child screamed and she appeared to continue reading, according to police in a shocking photo. It was shocking, I tell you. A classroom aide was setting up an activity in Vilma Otero's classroom. That's her name, Vilma, at Forest Lake Elementary School on August 23 when she heard the boy crying and saw the teacher holding the tot in a chokehold. Authorities told a chokehold. Holy shit. A stunning photo snapped by the aide shows Otero, 59, sitting on a stool and reading a book to the class as the boy lies on his back beneath her in a leg grip. There it is. Oh, there it is. Well, I don't want to show it too much because we can get in trouble. The child's face had turned red from yelling and crying as he tried to wiggle out of the teacher's unorthodox headlock, the aide told authorities. What kind of trouble, seriously, can a 3-year-old cause? I mean, I know they can get loud. I know they can be disruptive. But what the hell kind of trouble can they cause for you to do something like that, right? The boy, who was not identified in the report, had trouble communicating with police due to his disability, but conveyed that he got in trouble at school and said, she hurt me. According to us, she's in trouble. Yeah. She's in trouble. But this is your finest out there. Putting little kids in headlocks. Okay. Wow.
I got nothing to say.
Yeah. Oh, wow. My, what happened? I got a lot of blanks. Oh, there it is. Yeah, I didn't see any comments. I'm like, wow, did everybody leave? Let me see. Yeah, they got a rising star, Governor Wes Moore. He got exposed after falsely claiming to be a Bronze Star recipient. Just like Tim Walz, who's running for VP. Here's one. You got to see this. This is great. This good old that Democratic Party prank known as President Jimmy Carter. There he is in all his glory. Jimmy Carter's tragic. Tell me this isn't a clickbait. Jimmy Carter's tragic 10-word dying wish as he faces death's door in hospice in Plains, Georgia. Okay. So it says what his 10 words were. I'm only trying to make it to vote for Kamala Harris. Can you believe that? That's what he said. Former President Jimmy Carter expressed his wish to live long enough to vote for Kamala Harris in the upcoming November election, probably as a payback because after they were elected, he no longer was considered the worst president in American history. The 99-year-old, man, he made it to 99. The 99-year-old who was last seen worse for wear at his wife Rosalind's funeral 9 months ago. She just died 9 months ago. I thought she died years ago. Shared this hope from his home in Georgia, where he is receiving end of life care. He was a decent man, right? It's just that he had to give a lot of paybacks to a lot of leftists, and that's what made him tragic. He did a lot of things to this country. Like, for example, did a lot of people know that Jimmy Carter actually he signed? There was a human rights agreement in the UN Charter, and he signed it to be a good little liberal. He signed it before it was even filled in. Oh, yeah, I signed on to that, right? And put it through the Senate and all that because they own the Senate, right? So in that, among other things, what it did was it defined what is a national. Now, a national is someone who lives where they live. So if you're an illegal alien from Mexico living in Southern California, you're not a citizen of the United States, but you are a national of Southern California. And so what the Human Rights Agreement said, among other things that Jimmy Carter couldn't wait to sign off on, was that no member nation of the UN could deny a national the right to education, healthcare, and welfare. Which is why when California came out with his what was it, Prop 187, I think it was, when they didn't want benefits to go to illegals anymore, and it passed. They voted it in. It passed, and then a judge almost immediately declared it unconstitutional. Everybody's like, "What? Like, how the hell could you do that?" All right, and it was because 187, and it was I don't know how I remember that, but I can't remember a celebrity's name. So he shot down 187, and that's when I looked into it. I'm like, holy shit. It was because of this human rights agreement that the Senate, that he signed on to, and the Democrats in the Senate actually gave advice and consent and passed it. Dad. Yeah. He worked for the administration, for the Carter administration.
Yeah, I can't believe that Jimmy Carter's still alive. I just had to check.
I know. They have to check his pulse every now and then, but yeah, but he made it to 99. God bless him. You know, for a peanut farmer, that's pretty good. I'm the opposite way. I can remember a celebrity or a movie quote, but I'm dead when it comes to anything of value. Yeah. I have those sometimers moments. You know, now that I'm older. Yeah. Well, let's see. Is there anything else? So, detention. Frankenstein read that. Kamala's pre-tape. Oh, yeah. Pre-taped interview. Yeah.
It was all spontaneous. It was all spontaneous.
Yeah. I like this. Zero hedge. And I'll tell you what, when I used to write for David Harris Jr., we used to have to, back then, we used to have to double check everything that this site said, because there were some times where they would put clickbait inside the article, and we had to, because we didn't want to get anything wrong, and we had to check, and it was them, and who was the other one? There was another site that we were like, stay away from them, but I didn't want to stay away from these guys because this guy here is really good. So it has, you had one job. Kamala blows pre-taped interview. Now, first of all, think about that, guys. It's the first interview she's doing as the de facto nominee. Well, now she's the nominee, as the nominee for president of the United States of her party. And she hadn't done an interview, right? So she does the first one. Not only does she need, the white man to hold her hand, right? To help her when she screws up. And people go, Trump and Vance. Yeah, but they both, it was after they were nominated, and they both do their own interviews left and right. It was right after they were both nominated. So, of course, they're going to do an interview together. So now they show all the pictures of Trump and Vance sitting together, but they forget to tell everybody, no, it was right after they were both nominated. Okay, so she does it, but she does pre-taped. Jade, what does that tell you? What does pre-taped mean to you?
Well, yeah, pre-taped means non-spontaneous. I have a question for you, though.
Yeah.
Who chose the wording in this headline?
I guess it was Tyler Durden.
It's just some unfortunate wording.
I know.
She blows the interview. Well, I think she's been known to.
Yes. Yeah. You're right. Let's stay away from Strikeville. Heels Up Harris is her nickname. Yes.
Do I have to paint a picture? What?
Yeah. No, let's not.
Yeah, let's not. Let's skip that.
Good call. Yeah. But she pre-taped it because she wanted CNN to be able to edit out anything that she didn't want in there that makes her look like the blithering idiot that she is. It's like, I'll never forget when John Kerry Lurch, when he was running for president, he was outside a big building in Boston, and they were interviewing him right there. And it was, you have like the guy standing on the corner, and you have a gaggle of the reporters standing around, right? And so they wanted to know about his economic policy. And he went on blathering, and he made absolutely no sense whatsoever. I remember Rush Limbaugh did this story, and I watched the tape, and I'm like, holy crap, he made no sense whatsoever. And so what did the reporters all do? They got together and they huddled, and they came back and said, okay, we want you to take a few minutes, get your shit together, and we'll film it again. They gave him a do-over because he's a Democrat. They gave him a friggin' do-over. Can you believe it? So that's what Kamala, because, see, Democrats got balls. They'll tell CNN, oh, I don't want that in there. Cut that out. Well, why would we cut it out? Because I told you so. Well, what are you going to do? I'm going to go after you as president. Oh, okay, I'll cut it out then. That's what they do. If they censor the shit out of conservative speech, you think they're not going to censor CNN as well? So, all right. Kamala Harris had one job. Don't blow your first sit down. Oh, God, I can't get through this. Interview with the press. No word salad. No unburdened by what has been mantra. Don't cackle to cover up for lack of brain cells. The guy's spot on so far. She couldn't even do that. Sitting down with running mate Tim Walz for a pre-taped CNN interview set to air at 9 p.m. Thursday, a preview clip reveals she's still an absolute moron. Dana Bash, whose CIA ex-husband signed the Hunter Biden disinfo letter, I didn't know that, tossed Harris what had been a well-rehearsed softball, asking how voters should look at some of the changes you've made. Quote, it is because you have more experience now and learned more about the information? Is it because we saw the video, right? You were running for president in the Democratic primary. And should they feel comfortable and confident that what you're saying now is going to be the policy moving forward? The answer is no, because Democrats change. We talked about this earlier, Jay. Democrats change policy as often as they change their socks. Don't hold me to what I said yesterday. I'm older and more experienced now. That's how they are. So, in other words, why shouldn't you believe you're full of shit over your dramatic shift in positions towards moderate policies? There are a million ways to answer that spoon-fed question, but Harris chose more word salad. Quote, I think the most important and most significant aspect of my policy perspective and decisions is my values have not changed, she replied. You mentioned the Green New Deal. We heard all that, right? Yes, deadlines around time. So she puts that out there. Maybe we should play it again. Yeah, because it's not going to be anything else.
That the climate crisis is real.
I said
that it is
earlier.
An urgent matter to which we should apply metrics that include holding ourselves to deadlines around time.
Why not deadlines around time for holding yourselves to a border secured?
We did that with the Inflation Reduction Act. We have.
No, you didn't. You didn't do anything of the sort. That is all word salad, but still, he gets it.
Why is it the Democrats think whatever you name the bill
Yeah.
is what it is? No matter, it doesn't matter if what
I
you
know.
put in it doesn't do that.
I know.
The Inflation Reduction Act. So they put crap in there that does nothing or makes the situation worse. But we passed the Inflation Reduction Act. It reduced inflation. It must.
Oh, yeah.
That's what it was called.
Yeah. Well, Jeremiah, you heard of Operation Mockingbird, right? Yeah, she probably married him because of Operation Mockingbird. I'm not saying that's for sure. Or I know anything, but Operation Mockingbird was the CIA infiltrated all the news networks, all the outlets. In fact, it was a famous one. I tell this story all the time, but there's probably new people watching. Richard Nixon was in the Oval Office, and he had his CIA director with him. And they spoke just to each other. And Nixon told the guy, he said, look, he didn't use the word deep state, but he said, all these people in the executive branch, these bureaucrats that are not elected by anybody and not held accountable, most of them, they're making their own rules. They're making their own laws. They're doing things bypassing the democratic process. And I want to do something that stops that. Within 4 months, he was out of office. Okay. And the reason why is because that CIA director was involved in the deep state cabal bullshit, right? And so they had this guy that was at the Washington Post, which in Washington, D.C. was the paper of record, not the old gray lady. It was the Washington Post. Okay. And so they had this guy, Bob Woodward, that was put on the Watergate thing, right? Well, Bob Woodward was never a journalist in his life. Up to that point, he never went to school for it, never wrote a single article, nothing. He was from the Navy, and he was in an intelligence program that he was loaned out to the CIA. And the CIA embedded him into the Washington Post in order to write articles to get rid of the president of the United States. And they got that moron, Carl Bernstein, because he was a journalist. They got him to lend a guiding hand to the CIA guy, Bob Woodward. So Operation Mockingbird was in full effect. And in fact, when they did that hearing on it to talk about it, they actually admitted it to Congress. They said, yeah, we did. And they're like, is that thing still in effect today? Well, yes, it is. They just admitted it and nothing was ever done. So, yeah, Anderson Cooper. Yep. Larry McDonald. I do. Yeah, I do. I do remember Larry McDonald. Perception is reality, Jade. You're giving people too much credit. They only read headlines. That's true. A lot of people only read the headlines. That is absolutely true.
And that would be kind of the point.
Yeah, which is why they do a lot of clickbait headlines. But
well, that's why they bury the truth in paragraph 6 or 8, because people read the title and maybe the first 2 paragraphs, and that's it. They don't get the full story.
That's true. Several states, look at what they're doing to RFK Jr. again. Several states refuse to remove RFK Jr.'s name from ballots, hurting Trump. So he just needs to send people in to say, hey, guys, vote for Trump. I already endorsed him. Vote for Trump. Don't vote for me. Vote for Trump. Now, so it's amazing. Now, if they had an argument like, well, we can't. We already printed it up and we're not putting money out again. Well, after Robert F. Kennedy Jr. dropped out of the presidential race last week and threw his support behind former President Trump, several states have refused to remove his name from the ballot after he announced he would do so about 10 swing states. So, and he's doing that strategically, by the way. Quote, our polling consistently showed that by staying on the ballot in the battleground states, I would likely hand the election over to the Democrats, with whom I disagree on the most existential issues. Kennedy's good for him, Kennedy said before endorsing Trump. 3 key states have dug in and are refusing to remove his name. Michigan, key battleground state, said it was too late for Kennedy to withdraw. Yeah, okay. Wisconsin, whose elections commission voted 5-1 on Tuesday against removing his name, citing a law which says any person who files nomination papers and qualifies to appear on a ballot may not decline nomination. Okay. Colorado, which while less competitive for Trump than Michigan or Wisconsin, also refused. Well, wasn't Colorado, your state, the first one that wanted to throw Trump out because of the 14th Amendment?
Yeah, we were one of the ones that tried to take Trump off the ballot.
Right. And the Supreme Court did a little ass smacking on him and said, hey, morons, you can't do that. It's only at the federal level. At which let me tell you something. Jamie Raskin let the cat out of the bag, but then Hakeem Jeffries just said it right out loud, like last week. They said, yeah, if Trump gets elected, we're gonna impeach him in the first week. And they said they're gonna cite the 14th Amendment. Even though they have no evidence whatsoever that Trump was involved in an insurrection, because they have no evidence that there was an insurrection. There was no insurrection. All right,
Well,
it says minor.
There was no insurrection. B, what do the words peacefully and patriotically mean to you?
Yeah, and see, the thing is, for an insurrection, it means you want to take over it's a rebellion like the Civil War. You want to take over the country by taking over the government. These guys didn't want to take over any government. They didn't bring weapons. They didn't bring guns. There was nobody that actually talked about taking over. Even the Proud Boys didn't talk about that shit, right? What it was that they just wanted to hold off certification of several of the key battleground states because there were so many irregularities that were called for, and the Democrats that were in charge of things in those states ignored them. Like in my state, you had Kathy Boockvar, who was a Democrat, who was the Secretary of State, and she illegally changed election law. She didn't have the right to do that. Article 1, Section 4 says that only a state legislature does, but she did it, right? Our attorney general at the time is now our screwed up governor, is Shapiro, right? Josh Shapiro. He didn't accept a single case that was presented to him with the evidence. Didn't even want to hear about it. Accepted no case. There were a lot of cases that were handed to him too. Can you please look into this? Have your office look into this? No, because Democrats a long time ago decided, fuck the Republicans or anybody that's a Democrat. We're not going to help you. I mean, they decided that a long time ago. And you got some Republicans. I'm not going to say some rhinos don't do the same thing, but the Democrats, like think about this, guys. When they had to do the steal, right? They didn't even need the people that work in those counties, the county workers that were doing all the shit that they were doing, taking the QR code off the Dominion machines and then putting them through again and again and again, the same ones. Well, they didn't even need to be taught how to do that. They didn't have to go. They didn't give out Zoom lessons. Well, you're taking this way and you shut it up. They didn't have to be told what to do because they've been doing it for years. Absolutely been doing it for years.
Yeah, and what did I hear? What's his name? Turtle Man.
Yeah. I hope he's gone after. Is he gone now?
I certainly hope so.
Yeah, I think it's after November. Yeah.
But he axed the SAFE Act, which was going to put in some election security.
Yeah.
He's responsible for that. Although
the turtle.
Yeah.
I don't know who they're going to vote in to be majority leader if they take the Senate, and I think they're going to take the Senate. I think the Republicans will take the Senate, unless some states use Dominion. I think they will, and we could hold the House, but we have too many rhinos there that are just too.
Yeah, we've
bunch
got
of wussies.
We got more chance of taking the Senate than holding the House.
Yeah, I know.
But we could very well have both.
We have to take at least one.
Yeah.
Because I'm telling you, they're going to impeach Trump on day one. And let me tell you something. They could impeach Trump every freaking day of the next 2 years, and the Senate should always do exactly what's his name, Schumer did when Mayorkas was impeached recently. He just threw out both articles of impeachment. He said, we're not even going to honor this. He said they're unconstitutional. Articles of impeachment were unconstitutional, he said. And he goes, we're not having a trial. Yet, when Trump already left office, Schumer demanded that they have a trial on his impeachment, even though Trump was out of office, which is the only remedy for an impeachment for a president. You're removed from office, okay? The reason he wanted that is because if, by some miracle, the Republicans convicted Trump in that Senate trial, right, the impeachment trial, he wanted to add a punishment to it that said he can no longer run for any office in the United States. That's why he wanted to do it. These people are fucking crazy. Oh yeah, here's one. This will burn your bagels. Ready? Biden's who skipped Arlington event for vacation trashed Trump in June for declining cemetery visit. Monday marked 3 years since the death of 13 American service members in Afghanistan. Right? Oh, I gotta join Fox. Dude. I had quit them. Shit. Earlier, they must have just done that. I'm sorry, guys. I had the whole article there before. Son of a bitch. Yeah, but what you call it? Yeah, 3 years, and the press still doesn't really want to talk about it.
Of course,
I'm talking the liberal press. 13 service members, and the reason why is because if you remember, the Biden administration gave the Taliban the authority to handle security around that airport. Are you kidding me? Around the Kabul airport.
How many $1 billion worth of equipment, military equipment?
That was at Bagram. Yeah, it was like $84 billion worth of equipment. And I remember within 2 weeks of our withdrawal, they saw Chinese helicopters landing there. So they must have come from some other airport, but they landed in there and they were walking around looking at stuff, probably going over inventory. How much can we buy?
Well,
can
the other thing
look
is
at Apaches?
The other thing, they were looking for anything that they could get technology from.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was just
And
saying,
then,
can we look at
what
those
was it?
Apaches, take pictures?
What was it just earlier this year? They had a parade,
Yeah.
and they had all the men carrying these weapons, and they had the
Unreal.
the APCs, and they had some of the Blackhawks, and it was all the American equipment that got left behind.
Well, you want something to really piss you off? I just found out today, I heard today, that our government is sending $87 million with an M million a week to Afghanistan. A week.
Are we still doing that?
Yes. $87 million a week is going to Afghanistan, and the Taliban are eating it. They're the richest terrorist organization in the world. This is off the hook stupid. Why would we do this? It's off the hook stupid, man.
Well, if you link it into their basic goal, which is to destabilize the country so that they can take power, they can maintain power, it all starts to make sense.
Yep. I know. It's unreal.
Yeah. And don't forget with China, they still remember Sun Tzu. And one of the big things of Sun Tzu in The Art of War was the best way to win a fight was to not have to fight.
Right.
And I'm paraphrasing.
Greetings, Professor Falcon.
And that is their whole point. If they can infiltrate people into the country and destabilize our infrastructure, destabilize some of the utilities, the banks, and not to mention the politics. If they can do that and not have to go hand to hand, that's their goal.
Yep. Unreal. I can't even believe that people are contemplating voting for her. Let's go on. Conservative Brief, which is actually a nice website. 40% of Americans have difficulty paying bills under Biden-Harris, under a report. Nearly 40% of Americans are worried about being able to pay all of their bills on time, a higher percentage than during the Great Recession of 2008 and 2009, according to a new survey. A CNN poll, you don't know if it's true. CNN poll revealed that 39% of Americans are concerned about consistently paying their bills, a 33% increase. Are you kidding me? From the peak of Bidenflation and exceeding the 37% during 2008 crisis, which was caused by Democrats in the housing situation, when unemployment was nearly 10%, the outlet reported, citing the polling results. Inflation during the Biden-Harris administration has reached new heights in the modern era. You think? And while it has eased somewhat in recent months, it's cumulative. You got to add them all together. It remains stubbornly high, raising the cost of food, gasoline, housing, and other basic amenities like utilities. They do things like take coffee out. They say, well, what rose the most? Let's just get it off the fucking list, right? So they do that. They take it off the index, the consumer index. It's just they'll do all kinds of things to make themselves look better than they really are. CNN added that consumers are still trying to catch up to the price spikes of the last few years. Yeah, they'll call them price spikes. Yeah, what do you think? You got to, for them to manufacture things, it costs more money because inflation hits that too. Right? The Daily Signal cited the survey, added, still trying to catch up is an understatement. The gap between nominal wages and inflation-adjusted wages since 2021 is more than 20%. Can you imagine? So it looks like you're making a lot more, but even accounting for official inflation, workers have lost thousands in income. Of course, if official inflation is a lie, which seems likely, going by real-world prices from housing to restaurants and groceries, then workers have lost a lot more. To illustrate, there's no way that the Democrats can get around this. To illustrate, official inflation since COVID-19 is 21%, but fast food menu prices, a standard finance proxy for true inflation, are up more than twice that, while housing costs have doubled since COVID-19 between rising house prices and rising mortgage rates. If those real-world numbers are closer to true inflation, then workers have lost potentially thousands per month. CNN reported that 35% of respondents, or over 1/3, have had to take on additional part-time work. That's where all those jobs went, by the way, the jobs reports, to make ends meet. This includes 44% of Black individuals, 52% of Latinos. Notice I didn't say Latinos. I said Latinos, and nearly half of workers under age 45. My Latino friends are laughing right now. That explains why, quote, that explains why jobs are rising on paper, yet the actual number of employed Americans is plunging, down 600,000 in the past 8 months alone. How about 818? The Daily Signal added. The poll also revealed that over 2/3 of Americans are reducing their grocery spending, and almost half are driving less to save on gas. Furthermore, 4 in 10 Americans are resorting to credit cards to cover essential expenses such as groceries and gas. God, here we go.
And they're paying those credit cards off fully every month, right?
In the working people of America to create millions of jobs. And as today's jobs numbers make clear, Bidenomics is working. Last month, we created 187,000 new jobs.
I think when she's talking about this, they were expecting 330,000.
That means today 187,000 more Americans are able to go.
Wrong. They found out that overwhelmingly it was foreign-born people, including illegal aliens, got those jobs, and they were overwhelmingly part-time jobs.
To work.
They lied.
To provide for their family and invest in their future.
Look at how invested she is into the lie.
Today's numbers reflect the point that President Biden has made many times. America's economy is strong.
Despite you guys. Unbelievable. Oh. I did a couple videos on the jobs report. That's just, what a joke. What a joke. They lied about it all. Well, Obama lied too. I remember right before his reelection, it was going around that no president was ever reelected with 8% unemployment. He had 8.3 at the time. And then magically 2 months before the election, it went down to 7.8. Magically.
The Democrats do a lot of magic.
They do. They have that wand. You know, the wand that Obama said, Trump says he's going to bring all the jobs back. How's he going to do it? He's going to have a magic wand? And then there was memes out there of Trump holding the wand and went, ta-da, after he did it, right? Let's see. Sorry. Yeah, did I do that one? No, I didn't. Arlington, about Arlington Cemetery. Yeah, let's do that one. All right. Arlington tried preventing Trump from attending a ceremony with Gold Star families who invited Trump. Can you believe this? I mean, guys, what kind of an administration would say we don't want a former president there? How political do you have to be to do that? To exploit dead military personnel? A new report claims that House Speaker Mike Johnson had to intervene to allow former President Donald Trump to attend Monday's event with Gold Star families at Arlington National Cemetery for the third anniversary of a disastrous Afghanistan withdrawal that led to the death of 13 U.S. service members. A family told the Daily Caller that Arlington National Cemetery had made it difficult for Trump to appear and lay a wreath in honor of the 13 U.S. troops killed in the Kabul suicide bombing at Monday's ceremony prior to Johnson's intervention. The anonymous family told the Daily Caller that Arlington National Cemetery officials told the Gold Star families that the president could not join them at the ceremony despite being invited by the families, and that the families could only be at the ceremony at a time that did not work for all of them. Are you kidding me? They even fuck up a cemetery situation. Representative Michael McCall, Republican of Texas, chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, told the Daily Caller that he was contacted about the situation by Darren Hoover and Kelly Barnett. Kelly Barnett, the parents of Staff Sergeant Taylor Hoover, who was killed in Afghanistan. After being alerted to the situation with Arlington Cemetery, McCall contacted Johnson to ask for help in fixing the issues. Quote, "When Darren and Kelly contacted me, I was furious to hear their request to have President Trump join them to commemorate the anniversary of Taylor's death was being stymied, along with several of the other family members of U.S. service members killed at Abbey Gate," McCall said. McCall added, "I immediately asked what I could do to help and reached out to Speaker Johnson to see what he could do. Thankfully, Speaker Johnson and his team acted quickly and were able to get the situation resolved. They had to go to the Speaker of the House to get the cemetery, the military cemetery, to act like decent human beings. But something like this should never have happened. Gold Star families have already suffered enough." He's right. He's right. Just what kind of scum is running this government? It's just unreal.
I hope that's a rhetorical question.
Yeah, I know, because we'd be here all night. We would be here all night. Yeah. Let me see what this one is. Yeah, we did that.
Yeah, the only way to stop a Democrat from lying is catching them in a lie.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to say that with the proviso that every politician lies. It's just a thing they do. And
well, a lot of them, they call it spin because they can technically spin the facts and still think they're telling the truth. But now politicians on the left, they just outright lie. They think they either think you're too stupid that you won't know they're lying, or that they don't care that you know.
Yeah, there's a difference between spin and
lying. Yeah.
And all politicians spin. Actually, that's one of the best things about Trump is he's not really a politician.
Right, he doesn't lie to you, and they say he's got 40,000 lies that we caught him saying. A lie is I always say this. A lie to them is where he says, Johnny is like, I know Johnny, he's the greatest guy in the world. And CNN 2 weeks ago will say, we did a special investigation on that, and we found out that Johnny is not the greatest guy in the world. It's this guy Ernie over here. That's a Trump lie. Okay, I paid the guy $1,000. Yes, but we did this special investigation. We found out that after taxes, he only made $932. Therefore, Trump lied. That's the kind of lies they're talking about.
The best one was Trump said something about wearing a red tie. And they go on and they said, well, it wasn't red. It was kind of more maroon.
What's up, Billy? Yeah,
that was a lie.
Yeah, it was a lie. It was more maroon.
Yeah.
Well, shit. CNN did a story when Trump was at a banquet held by the president, and he got 2 scoops of ice cream when everybody else only got 1 scoop. He asked for a second scoop. And they made it look like, oh, my God, he's a dictator. And it's like they didn't even report that other people asked if they could have 2 scoops and were told no. They just said he asked for 2 scoops and got them, but everybody else only got a scoop. They made a story out of that. It must have been a slow news day. It had to have been. Unreal. You like the flag? I actually found a YouTube video that plays the flag for 3 hours.
I was noticing that in the background.
Yeah.
What else do you have?
Yeah, scoops. Oh, I got some stuff. Hold on. Rip the shreds for
I'm
word
starting
salad.
to running out of steam here.
Are you?
Oh, you know me. I got like 2 hours, but the first, the first 45 minutes got us really energized.
I
So
know.
I'm
I know.
still going.
Yeah, we can thank Nelson for that. He came in. Nelson's a guy that is he goes on my brother's channel, and
You mean Ashley?
yeah. I think it was Nelson that did that. He thinks that you need to have chaos on a channel, in order to make it popular. That's what he thinks. So, I don't know. But let's see. Train wreck for Harris. Let's try this one. Okay. Daily Mail. Train wreck for Harris. Kamala is ripped to shreds for word salad. CNN softball interview. Oh, is this the same? If it's the same interview, hold on.
Madam Vice President, Governor Walz, thank you so much for sitting down with me and bringing the bus. The bus tour is well underway here in Georgia.
Look at this.
You have less time to make your case to voters than any candidate in modern American history. The voters are really eager to hear what your plans are. If you are elected, what would you do on day one in the White House?
Here we go.
Well, there are a number of things. I will tell you, first and foremost, one of my highest priorities is to do what we can to support and strengthen the middle class. When
They
I look
hate
at
the middle class.
the aspirations, the goals, the ambitions of the American people, I think that
Democrats despise the middle class. They always have. They claim to be their champions, but they despise them. Oh wow, Mark just sent me an email.
people are ready for a new way forward, in a way that generations of Americans have been fueled by hope and by optimism. I think, sadly, in the last decade, we have had in the former president someone who has really been pushing an agenda and an environment that is about diminishing the character and the strength of who we are as Americans, really dividing our nation. And I think people are ready to turn the page on that.
So what would you do day one?
Day one, it's going to be about, one, implementing my plan for what I call an opportunity economy. I've already laid out a number of
Why didn't she do that in the last 3.5 years?
proposals in that regard, which include what we're going to do to bring down the cost of everyday goods, what we're going
Yeah, well, why didn't she do that in the last 3.5 years?
to do in America's small businesses, what we're going to do to invest in families, for example.
All you have to do, you don't have to invest in people and businesses. All you have to do is get off their fucking backs.
Extending the child tax credit to $6,000 for families for the first year of their child's life, to help them buy a car seat, to help them buy baby clothes, a crib. There's the work that we're going to do that is about investing in the
That's if they're not Democrats and they survive the abortion.
American family around affordable housing, a big issue in our country right now. So there are a number of things on day one.
What about you?
Well, I'm excited about this agenda too. As I said, the idea of inspiring America to what can be, and I think many of these things that the vice president's proposing are things that we share in values. And the child tax credit is one we know that reduces childhood poverty by 1/3. We did it in Minnesota to have a federal.
Oh my God!
Partner in this, unbelievable. I think in the impact that we can make.
You talked about, you call it the opportunity economy. You are well aware that right now many Americans are struggling. There's a crisis of affordability. One of your campaign themes is we're not going back. But I wonder what you say to voters who do want to go back when it comes to the economy specifically, because their groceries were less expensive, housing was more affordable when Donald Trump was president.
Oh yeah. Here we go.
Well, Well, let's start with the fact that when Joe Biden and I came in office,
She's going to say it.
during the height of a pandemic, we saw over 10 million jobs were lost.
Yes, because Democrats shut them down. Donald Trump didn't shut a goddamn thing down.
People, I mean, literally, we were all tracking the numbers. Hundreds of people a day were dying because of COVID. The economy had crashed.
Yeah, because you guys shut everything down.
In large part, all of that because of mismanagement by Donald Trump.
Oh,
of that.
good Lord, mismanagement. Donald Trump had the greatest economy America ever saw. Hold on. I just tried to get Mark on to read his new Substack, but he said he's worn out. He'll come on next week.
Crisis. When we came in, our highest priority was to do what we could to rescue America, and
And you didn't do that. You gave us the highest inflation in years.
today, we know that we have inflation at under 3%. A lot of
Yeah, but when it was 9%, now it's 12%. It's cumulative.
our policies have led to the reality that America recovered faster than any wealthy nation around the world. But you are right.
Because we're American.
Prices, in particular for groceries, are still too high. The American people know what I know.
This is the part that I was like, Jade, you and I were talking about earlier. Like, the RNC should use this as another commercial.
Which is why my agenda includes what we need to do to bring down the price of groceries. For example, dealing with an issue like price gouging. Well,
Oh, she finally got the word right. She called it price gauging, if you remember, during her speech. There's no price gouging going on with food. The fact that these people are morons economically. They think that if inflation's at 3% right now, that the prices should come down to what they would be at 3% inflation. She doesn't understand. If you had 9% inflation a couple years ago, the shit that you're buying in stores everywhere now was created under that inflation. And that means that the manufacturers, even the farmers, that means that the manufacturers, people that make shit that we buy, right? Phones, cameras, microphone, anything, furniture, cars, it was all done under that high inflation. So these morons think that they had to put the extra money out for all the parts if they were able to get through, Pete Buttigieg's problem with the chain, the supply chain getting all screwed up for a couple of years. Well, they think that now it's 3%. Well, the prices should come down. No, moron. It's cumulative. The price is still going to be up there. Well, inflation's down. Yeah, but nobody's feeling it. Your wallet is still being smacked in the ass over it. Because the prices are still high because that's how they had to manufacture it. They're not going to lose money, but you're calling it price gouging. The Democrats are calling it price gouging because what does that create? It's more of that class warfare. Well, the rich can afford it, but the middle class and the lower, they can't afford it. That's price gouging. It's nothing of the sort.
what we need to do to extend the child tax credit to help young families be able to take care of their children in their most formative years.
Why do they need your help? Just stop taxing them so much. They'd probably do better on their own.
What we need to do to bring down the cost of housing. My proposal includes what would be a tax credit of $25,000 for first-time home buyers. So
Holy Christ. So spend $25,000 of tax money on first-time home buyers. Well, that's not going to cause inflation.
they can just have enough to put a down payment.
Plus, they're did you see that they're offering a what is it? Was it $150,000 to illegal aliens to purchase a house? Did you see that, Jade?
Wasn't that in California, or was that?
I think it was in California. They're offering $150,000, and everything that happens out in California makes its way across the country eventually. We know that, but can you imagine the $150,000 for every illegal that wants to buy a house? That's overwhelming, mind-boggling.
Payment on a home, which is part of the American dream and their aspiration, but do it in a way.
Yeah, but you want to take away the American dream with your friggin' tax, with your capital gains tax. You want a wealth tax, which will kill the American dream almost instantly.
That allows them to actually get on the path to achieving that goal and that dream.
So you have been vice president for 3.5 years.
There we go.
The steps that you're talking about now, why haven't you done them already?
Thank you.
Well, first of all, we had to recover as an economy, and we have.
No, oh my God.
It's Trump's fault.
What's
It's
that?
Trump's
Yeah,
fault.
Trump's fault. Exactly. Donald Trump put things in place before he knew that the election would be stolen from him. He put things in place that would have a hell of a comeback. All those 15 million jobs, yeah, they were the COVID jobs that Democrats shut down. Now, Republicans, don't get me wrong, Republicans shut people down as well, but the Democrats are the ones that kept it going after Republican governors were like, wait a minute, we can reopen. We're not going to do this indefinitely. We can reopen, right?
Yeah, use your memory. Trump did this when it first started. We didn't know what was going on. He did it for like, what was it, 2 or 4 weeks.
Did what?
And that was just trying to figure out where we were.
Well, Trump never shut anybody down, as a matter of fact.
Yeah,
They had guidance. They had guidance, and that was from Fauci.
He issued guidance, but
Right. But he never ordered a shutdown of a person or a business.
No, but he said, we don't know what's going on, and we didn't. We don't know how bad this is going to be.
True.
And so maybe we should, let's do what we got to do until we figure it out. And that was like 2 or 4 weeks.
Right.
And, the other thing, she's going on about housing. Refresh my memory, Rich. Last time we had people buying houses with no down payment.
Right.
Didn't we run into a big trouble with that?
Oh, yeah. And they tried, and it was Barack Obama, Senator Obama, that tried to blame it on George W. Bush when Bush, prior to the crash of 2008, went to the Democrat-controlled Congress and tried to get a handle on the housing market. The Democrats for 30 years had this housing market scam going on because they wanted to tell the world that they cared more about black people being able to buy a home than those evil racist Republicans, right? So what they did is they eventually put everybody. It started off with a woman named Gail Sincata out of Chicago, and she was a rabble rouser. She had a group. It was called the National Way or something like that. It was some radical group, and she was a community organizer, if you will, and she had a study that was done on redlining. Now, everybody you think of redlining, you go, yeah, it's where the racist guys and the banks would draw a red line around the city areas that were all black people, and they said, don't loan to them. Technically, yes, but not for racist reasons. What happened was, back then, when you filled out an application, okay, it cost money to process that application, believe it or not, because you had to hire people, pay them money to do the due diligence on the application, make sure the people didn't lie about credit and all that, right? And past bankruptcy, stuff like that. And so there were so many people that came from those neighborhoods that tried to get a mortgage, and they all failed the application. They finally did some studies and showed how much money the bank was putting out for this. So they said, okay, so these areas, don't take applications from them because it's just a loss. It's a loss of money for us. Okay. Now, they could have done it in a better way, but they did it that way. The problem is Gail Sincata had a redlining study done, and the only criteria that they used for it was race. They didn't use your credit rating, whether you had a job or not, were you married, do you have kids? They didn't use anything other than race. So, of course, under the scenario I just explained, what the mortgage managers were doing, it's going to look like it was because of racism. To mortgage guys, money's green. That's the thing they care about, and they didn't want to lose any more green. So they made those rules. Okay. So what happens? So Gail Sincata pushes to Congress, and there were 2 guys. It was William Proxmire from West Virginia, who was a progressive back then, senator, and Ted I couldn't the bitch hold her breath, Kennedy from Massachusetts, who both put this bill up that was called the Community Reinvestment Act. And among other things, the Community Reinvestment Act, what it did was it allowed these community organizers to shut down bank activity if they didn't adhere to their demands. So they would go to a bank and they would say, okay, so we want you to create these funds with like X millions of dollars to start loaning money. You have to put money aside in these things to start loaning money to the people of this community that you redlined. And the banks would go, get the hell out of here. Well, they could be penalized by the Community Reinvestment Act. They could have been penalized, and they could, and these people absolutely use that. Like if there was going to be a bank merger, they could shut the merger down because they didn't adhere to them. And they would do what they call bank ins. A bank in was they would bring school buses of over 300, 400 people to a bank, and they would all get in line, and they all had a single dollar bill, and they all went in there to sign up for a savings or a checking account for $1. And then after like 3 days of losing all their business because all these people were filling up the line, the bank president would come out and go, what do I got to do to get rid of you? And they'd tell him, and he'd be, okay, I'll do it. And that's what they did. They did this for years. And then Bill Clinton, Shazam, he comes along and he nationalized it. He federalized it. And he made it so that there were quotas of people that had to get mortgages. And a lot of the bankers went to his HUD secretary and complained and said, look, you keep doing this, you're going to screw the economy. It's going to crash. This is during the Clinton administration, right? And they said, we can't keep giving bad loans like this because these people are not making the mortgage payments, and we're having serious problems. We're talking thousands of homes across the country. And so he told them, just go put them in the subprime program. And then years later, when it crashed, they said, the evil predatory banking lenders, they used the subprime system to screw them over. No. And you know who that secretary, the HUD secretary was? It was Andrew Cuomo, who later became the governor of New York. Andrew freaking Cuomo. That's who it was, right? So eventually what happened was the system crashed because after 30 years, this is why houses are so expensive now. The scam was this. They would say, okay, you want to buy this house for $300,000. You can't afford the mortgage payment. So what we're going to do is you can pay $1,000 a month for the first 4 years, and then a balloon will hit. And then it'll go up to like $5,000. But by that point, your house, your $300,000 house will be worth $400,000 or so. So you'll be able to sell the house before the balloon comes in. And then you take that capital gain and put it down on another house. Everybody's a winner. But that created an artificial bubble in the housing market that made the prices just rise up and up and up and up. Because everybody knew you're going to be able to sell the house and buy another one. And the bankers were happy because they were making money, right? But this was government mandated. It wasn't the banks that did it. It was government mandated to do that, right? And so what happened was it finally crashed, and they blamed George W. Bush because he was president when it crashed. But like a year prior to it crashing, he went to Congress and asked them for a new regulatory body over Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, because what they were doing was they were buying up all the toxic loans and repackaging them as if they were worth something, and they weren't. But that's what they were doing, because a lot of people don't know Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. I think it was Roosevelt that put it in, right, in the 30s. It was because if you're a bank and you're loaning money for mortgages, right, and suppose you have like $3 million to loan out to your community that year to sell for houses or to do mortgage for house purchases, right? Well, what happened is you run out of money because things are good and you run out of money. So you have no more money to loan. And for every million that you loan, I think they said you get 7 million back over 30-year stretch, right? So they had no more money. So Congress said, okay, here's what we'll do. We will buy your mortgages for whatever set amount you want to make, 90 cents on the dollar. So they're like, oh, so we get 90% of that money and have to write off 10%. You got a deal. Because with that 90% that they got, they used that to loan more money, and they made more money, and it worked. But what happened was people were failing out of these houses. They weren't able to hit the balloon and couldn't sell the house. Because what happened was in around 2006, the American people just collectively decided we're not going to pay these high prices anymore. We're going to pay, I guess you would call it blue book value, if you will, of what it should really be worth, not these exorbitant prices anymore. We're just not going to. So they started renting instead until the prices came down, because they're like, it's ridiculous. And so what happened is nobody was buying homes. People were still buying homes, but not by the normal amount of people. So now you had millions of people that were in their homes that never should have got a mortgage. They were paying $1,000 a month, but then they couldn't sell their home. And then the balloon hit. So they can't sell their home and they can't afford to pay for their home now, $4 or $5 grand. And so everybody started foreclosing. And whenever I tell this story, I always say the only person who gave a solution. Now, it might not be a solution for everyone, but it was a solution. And it was on the Fox and Friends show. It was when Donald Trump called in and he said, I don't know what everybody's freaking out over. Just call your bank and ask them to renegotiate with you. He goes, do you really think the bank wants your house and they want to sell it? He's like, you got like 40,000 homes at a bank, had a mortgage. You think they want to sell 40,000 homes? No. He goes, just renegotiate with your bank and I'll bet they'll work something out with you. Whereas everybody else was whining and crying and George W. Bush screwed up the system when Bush had nothing to do with it. That's my final rant for the night. Let me see if I got one last thing before Jade has to leave. We did the teacher.
Before I burn out?
Yeah, before you burn out. Arlington try prevent. Yeah, we did that. ABC rejects Harris. Yep. Kamala Rip. We did that one. Rising Star. Nah, should we do that one? It's not that long. Yeah. It might be boring to some people. So no, I'm not going to do that one.
Yeah, we don't want boring. We've had a good show.
I know. It's been pretty good.
You got us all wound up in the first 45 minutes.
I know, man. I know. Oh, here's one. Another one. All right, here's one. It's another one by Zero Hedge by the same guy. Sometimes I think he's the only one that writes over there now. So Trump slams Harris flip-flop on border wall, says Kamala cowering behind anonymous staff. He has an update here. The Trump campaign has responded to Axios reporting that Kamala Harris now supports a border wall. Quote, how much longer will the mainstream media allow Kamala Harris to hide and use staff to speak on her behalf? It's day 37 of 0 interviews, and Kamala's anonymous campaign sources are now claiming she supports President Trump's border wall. This is a preposterous and false claim. Kamala's actions speak much louder than words of the anonymous staff she is cowering behind. And he's right. Yep, that's what he said. And after presiding over the worst illegal immigration crisis in U.S. history, failed border czar Kamala Harris has now pledged to spend hundreds of millions of dollars to build a wall at the southern U.S. border. Didn't they say that they made this big deal out of, well, we're going to continue building the wall because we have to spend that money because it was appropriated by Congress. So by law, we have to spend it on that. But then what they did is they didn't build anything. They just paid the guys for the product, and they didn't build anything. So the parts of the wall they paid for, they were delivered, and no wall was ever built. Unbelievable. According to Axios, which calls it the latest example of Harris flip-flopping on her personal liberal positions. That's really something for Axios to say that. Harris is now embracing a more hawkish immigration policy while the Trump campaign spends tens of millions of dollars on attack ads over the Biden-Harris administration's failed border policies. Last week, Harris told the Democratic National Convention that she would sign a recent bipartisan border security bill negotiated by Lankford and Murphy, which calls for hundreds of millions of dollars of unspent funds to be used to continue Trump's wall. But she goes around saying that was the strongest border security. It was bullshit. There was nothing strong about it. It gave the president the right that if there was they said over 5,000, it was really 8,000. It was 8,000 per day, but if it was 5,000 continually for 4 days. Otherwise, it was 8,000 a day, right? So they lied about it, but they said that the President Biden had the right to create this emergency that would lock down the border, right? But they forgot to tell us that in that same bill, it said that the president had the right to, at any time, for any reason, pull that order. For any reason whatsoever he saw fit, like he wanted more illegals to come over. It requires the Trump border wall, Lankford told Axios. It is in the bill itself that it sets the standards that were set during the Trump administration. That's a lie. Here's where it will be built. Here's how it will be built, the height, the type, everything during the Trump construction. Yes, but they didn't do it. They didn't build it. In 2017, then Senator Harris she called it a vanity project, his vanity project. In 2017, then Senator Harris called Trump's border wall project a stupid use of money and committed to blocking funding for it. Walls work. I hate to tell you, they work. Okay, there was a place in Arizona in Phoenix, I believe, where they had a wall there. And it like once they put that wall up there, it's before Trump came in. Once they put that wall up there, it shut down like 97% of illegals coming through. Because Phoenix, Arizona, I don't know if you know this, but it was the second city that had the most kidnappings in the world. And I think the first was Mexico City. And the reason why is because the cartel people tell their dealers that they come in with the backpacks loaded with coke, right, or whatever they're peddling now, fentanyl. Well, they tell them, look, you come back with the money or the product, or we kill your family. So they come to America. They come in through Phoenix, right, and some other rival gang will rob them of their products. So they got to come home with $300,000. So they'll kidnap 3 Americans and say $100,000 ransom for each. That's what was going on, right? So when they put that border wall up, it shut it down. I forget the name of what the area was, but it's in Arizona, and they shut it down. Like 97% of illegals were no longer coming over. So it has here, let's see, Kamala Harris now says she wants a wall. This is under end wokeness. If you haven't followed them, do it. It's a really good X account. Kamala Harris now says she wants a wall on our southern border if elected. Unfortunately, we have the receipts. Here we go. Let's see. What's it doing? Oh, yeah, he's showing it pretty much. I've joined my colleagues to introduce a bill. Let's see. Join my colleagues to introduce a bill that would rescind the executive order to construct Trump's border wall. You kidding me? You believe this shit? Here you go. Using taxpayer money to build a border wall that most Americans don't want to fund is just plain foolish. I'm going to say this. I think Trump was elected in 2016 for all of his ideas, but mostly for building a border wall, because they did polls on it, and most people were for shutting down the damn border. Trump's border wall is just a stupid use of money. I will block any funding for it. Yes, she alone will block any funding for it. Okay. So here we go. Trump's border wall could cost taxpayers $70 billion to build, $150 million a year to maintain. It's ridiculous. No, it isn't. It's not ridiculous at all for the money that it would save us with the illegals.
Watch this. Dinner's ready. It's still in the pot.
What's that?
I'd like to watch this.
Who was?
I got somebody that just got some.
Oh! I thought I had a video running.
No.
Okay, cool. All right, hang on. Let me finish it then. All right. Then under her watch, as these so-called borders are, illegal crossings on the southern border spiked at least 140% compared to the number seen during the Trump administration, according to a House Committee on Homeland Security. After Democrats gained control of the House in 2019, they opposed the large-scale funding Trump requested for the wall, leading to a government shutdown. Eventually, some funding was approved, but was far less than what Trump had requested. In response, Trump declared the national emergency. Remember that? In February 2019, to divert funds from other federal projects to the wall's construction, which led various legal challenges. But here's the thing that I remember of that. Democrats and Republicans alike, they put a bill out. They put a vote out that they will deny Trump's right to do a national emergency. And they said only Donald Trump, no other presidents, when every president uses the National Emergency Act, right? And I'm sorry, but with the thousands and thousands of illegals coming into the country and the human trafficking, child sex trafficking, fentanyl, all that shit that he's trying to stop from coming in, that's not a national emergency? Please. Last week, Harris came under fire for a campaign video which prominently featured images of Trump's partially built U.S.-Mexico border wall, boasting that her credentials as a border state prosecutor, that's all she ever does, would allow her to get the job done. Yeah, my ass. Here we go. Let's see what she has to say. Where is it?
As a border state prosecutor, she took on drug cartels and jailed gang members for smuggling weapons and drugs across the border. As vice
You ever notice they always talk like this?
president, she backed the toughest border control bill in decades.
Okay.
That's that bullshit bill I just told you about.
She will hire thousands more border agents.
No, she will not.
And
she'll hire 87,000 more IRS agents.
Crack down on fentanyl and human trafficking.
She doesn't care about fentanyl and human trafficking. Otherwise, she would have done something in the last 3.5 years.
Fixing the border is tough. So is Kamala Harris.
Do you know what, guys, I'm going to do? Ooh. Jade, do you think I would get in any kind of trouble if I used that video to make my own video?
Yes.
And just show, like, when they say she signed it, and then I just show how that bill, how she just lied in the ad.
Yeah, I mean, if you took stills from it, you'd probably be okay.
Right. But I can't show the video?
I wouldn't run the video.
All right. I'll look into it legally if I can do it or not. I'd have to hire a food taster afterwards. I understand, but
for some reason, that reminds me, we were talking about, what's her name? That was the former mayor of Chicago.
Lori Lightfoot.
Beetlejuice
Lightfoot, yeah.
And I had in my head a meme of Beetlejuice. And you would have, my brain's turned to oatmeal. God, I'm catching the Joe Biden disease. I can't remember the actor's name. But
yeah, I can't either.
But you have a picture of Lori Lightfoot.
Michael Keaton.
Keaton, thank you. Michael Keaton. So you have a picture of Lori Lightfoot and Michael Keaton. Okay. And then down here you have a picture of Lori Lightfoot and Michael Keaton
as Beetlejuice.
It's like before and after, but she's the same.
She stays the same. That's hilarious. That would be great. That actually would be a great meme.
Before
Some
and
things
after,
stay the same.
But anyway, listen, I've outlasted myself.
Have you? All right.
Yeah.
Good
We're almost 3 hours here.
I know. I'm going to do for another 15. I'm good for another 15. Myself.
Are you?
Yeah.
I'm going to have to go.
All right.
Yeah,
I appreciate you being here.
I already had a visitor behind me telling me that stuff was going on.
All right.
So I'm going to run. I hope everybody has a good weekend. I hope you enjoyed some of the fireworks as much as we did.
Yeah.
I'm still worried about your blood pressure, Rich.
No, I'm fine. My blood pressure's fine.
That's good.
I dropped a lot of weight this year, so my blood pressure.
That's good. Keep your blood pressure down. You were looking a little flushed. So
yeah. Sometimes when I get angry. Yeah.
Have a good weekend.
And you too.
Yep. And we'll catch up with everybody next week.
Yep. Take
Later,
care.
Man.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll talk to you during the week.
Talk to you later.
See you. Yeah, Jade's cool. So I wanted to see what he said. I'd run the video, flip it horizontally, and adjust the contrast. AI is good, but if you don't use the music, the algorithm struggles to identify the images. You're right. Yeah, you're right. I wouldn't do it upside down though, but yeah, if I take the my German Shepherd just laid down. Yeah. If I take the music out, I might get away with it. I gotta talk to legal about that. Yeah. Let me see. Let me close that. Close that. Yeah, she still watches for a couple minutes. See the goodbyes. Yeah, Jade's good people, man. Yeah. Commander, you still here? I wonder if he's still here. I don't think so. I haven't heard from him in a while. Yeah, let me see if I can find something else. Something I did not prepare for. Uncommitted nightmare haunts Harris as CNN interview further fractures Democrat base. Oh, that's funny. Now they're saying that her interview fucked her up with the base. Oh, that's awesome. Let's do that for a second. Yeah, let's see. Let's do that. So it has uncommitted nightmare haunts Harris as CNN interview further fractures Democrat base. Look at this. Palestinian lives matter. Oh, geez. Democrat presidential nominee Kamala Harris is facing a severe crisis with the pro-Palestinian wing of her party. Can you imagine they have a pro-Palestinian? Because the Palestinians are pro-Hamas. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. Yes, they are. Of her party after she doubled down on her and President Joe Biden's Israel policies in her CNN interview today. CNN's Dana Bash pressed Harris on arms policy toward Israel on Thursday night, after Harris initially skirted a direct question about potentially withholding some arms to Israel, as the pro-Palestinian uncommitted movement has been demanding for 7 months. Bash did not let her off the hook. Following up on the same question, she drew a no from Harris when she asked if there would be any change in policy in terms of arms and so forth. But, a Democrat saying no during a campaign doesn't mean jack squat. And Jack left town last week. So let's see. Let's get down. Forget Rashida Tlaib. The response and the fallout underscore and worsen a massive problem for Harris, who has a fractured base heading into the home stretch of the election. These voters, more than 500,000 of whom protested Biden-Harris administration with uncommitted votes in the Democratic primary, have threatened and continue to threaten to stay home in November. Do it, barring a radical change in policy or a ceasefire. The move now, she'll send the word out through minions, right? Like 6 degrees of separation. Just go with us. Yes, we're going to give Hamas weapons like the Taliban. Yeah, I mean, that's all she has to do, right? And they'll vote for her. The movement, I can't read. The movement includes Arab Americans, Muslims, young voters, and far left progressives. Making the problem so severe for Harris is that the movement began in the ever-critical swing state of Michigan and spread to other key swing states like Wisconsin, places where the presidency is expected to be decided by slim margin. Harris is on shaky ground, considering she still has not brought home her base at a point in the cycle where presidential candidates typically are focusing on courting moderates. See, the thing is, Harris is full in on the electric vehicle, and Detroit's kind of pissed at her for that. I don't blame them. There's no money in that shit. Another aspect to contemplate is that if Harris does change, no money in Detroit for that shit. If Harris does change course on this position, she runs the risk of looking that much more insincere to undecided voters on crucial issues. She has already waffled on a number of critical policy decisions, including fracking, of course. You remember, what was it? Biden said that he would shut down the industry. No fracking. Mark my words, there's no fracking. Remember that? And so she was with him all the way. Yeah, I'm against fracking. I'll shut the whole goddamn thing. Now she's like, now she's doing a Fetterman. I've always been for fracking. I'm for fracking, and I'm for fracking. Remember that moment? And polling shows the public view former President Donald Trump is the more genuine candidate by a wide margin, because he is. He's a regular guy. Regardless, the issue has festered so long that winning these voters back with words alone appears impossible. At this point, she needs a concrete stoppage in arms and a ceasefire, which are not on the horizon. So these people want Israel to be harmed by no more. They can't buy any more weapons, right? So that it helps the terrorists. All Israel wants to do is wipe out Hamas. They don't want to wipe out the people in Gaza. I don't want to get down that fucking rabbit hole. But when Hamas holds them as human shields and start shooting at the Israelis, of course they're going to shoot back. That's on Hamas. Harris reaffirmed commitment to Israel and a furious base. During an interview, Bash noted that the Biden-Harris administration has failed to reach a ceasefire deal in the war and asked Harris if she would do anything differently. I don't know. She wouldn't. Here you go. Watch this.
Okay. Let's talk about some foreign policy issues that would be on your plate if you become commander-in-chief. President Biden has tried unsuccessfully to end the war between Israel and Hamas in Gaza. He's been doing it for months and months, along with you.
He's an idiot.
Would you do anything differently? For example, would you withhold some U.S. weapons shipments to Israel? That's what a lot of people on the progressive left want you to do.
Let me be very clear. I'm unequivocal and
when she's saying, let me be very clear, it means she's lying.
unwavering in my commitment to Israel's defense and its ability to defend itself. And that's not going to change. But
when you look down immediately, you're lying.
Let's take a step back. October 7, 1,200 people were massacred. Many young people who were simply attending a music festival. Women were horribly raped. As I said then, I say today, Israel has a right to defend itself. We would. And how it does so matters.
So then why did your administration treat them like shit ever since?
Far too many innocent Palestinians have been killed. And
I would place most of that blame not on Israel. Israel spent, what was it? I know a lot of you guys don't like Israel. Israel spent, 2 months holding off so that the people in Gaza that weren't Hamas could get out. But then we were told that Hamas blocked the exits and said, you can't go anywhere because we have to use you as human shields. Remember all that bullshit?
Get a deal done. We were in Doha. We have to get a deal done. This war must end.
In the meantime,
and
You're not going to get a deal done.
we must get a deal that is.
Trump could get a deal, but I don't know if either side would. But he's the only one that could get a deal. He did the Abraham Accord. He did a lot in the Middle East that he never gets
About
credit for.
getting the hostages out. I've met with the families
A lot
of
of
the
them are
American
dead.
hostages. Let's get the hostages out. Let's get the ceasefire done.
but no change in policy in terms of arms and so forth.
No, we have to get a deal done. Dana, we have to get a deal done. When you look at the significance of this to the families, to the people who are living in that region, a deal is not only the right thing to do to end this war, but will unlock so much of what must happen next. I remain committed since I've been on October 8th.
And what have you done? Oh, I'm sorry. They sent them a floating pier that fell apart. Let's see. What else do we have? Yeah, what about our security exactly? Now I'm with a lot of you guys that because I get emails and shit that say that we got to stop sending stuff to Israel. I'm with you on that. If we stop sending stuff to all the other countries as well. Out of all the countries, I think Israel would be the one that I would say, okay, we might be justified because they're the only democracy over there and they're an ally of ours. But if we stop sending foreign aid, which I think we should, to everybody. But see, that was the formula of the Democrats who ran this country for so many decades. 54 to 94. They ruled Congress. And so I think if we stop sending foreign aid, what they would do is they would send foreign aid to a country, okay? And then if that country started doing something, we'd say, you know what? We don't think you should be doing that, right? And then if they continued to do it, we'd put the 7th Fleet off their coast and say, we really told you shouldn't be doing that. Oh, and we're going to stop sending you money, right? So that was it. You know, we throw money at people who hate our fucking guts. But we threw the money, and they're going to do what we want them to do for the money. But then lately, we have a lot of countries that are saying, you know, nah, we don't care. And you're still going to send us the money, aren't you? And Democrats go, yeah, okay. You know, I think that we should cut that shit out. If we're going to send money, it has to be if they have an earthquake, you know, some FEMA type situation, you know. If they have an earthquake, a tsunami, whatever, yeah, send money and help. Why not? We got it, right? But why are we sending money? Like why is Joe Biden sending billions of dollars to Iran? Why are we sending $87 million a week to the Taliban, to Afghanistan? You know, the Taliban's eating it all up. Why? Why are we doing that? What the fuck? Why have we sent the tens of billions of dollars to Ukraine? We don't have a national interest there. It's because the Dems are making money off that, but that's a whole other video. But that's literally what's going on. Unbelievable. All right, guys. I'm going to call it a night. We've been here 3 hours, 2 hours, 58 minutes. So 3 hours. That was pretty good. I love you guys for coming here every single week. Do me a favor before you leave. If you haven't already, hit that like button. It helps. People who are watching, if you haven't subscribed, what are you waiting for? It's free. Yeah, click the subscribe button. Hit the notification bell so that you get our videos that come out every day. You don't miss it. I do different times every day in case anybody's wondering, because part of the algorithm tells you when all your people are on the most. And so I try to hit that. So that's why it happens that way. So, but usually I try for like 10 o'clock in the morning, Eastern time. Yeah, but appreciate you guys being here. Thank you very much. And you guys have a good weekend. For the Americans, it's Labor Day on Monday. So we're all off. I might live stream. Jimmy from Philly is doing a live stream tomorrow. So look out for that. I will promote it on my Discord. If you're not on my Discord, please go to my channel, and I have the link there. Appreciate it. All right. Talk to you guys. Have a good weekend. Love you all. Take care.